right, so we're on episode 30. We're gonna be talking about a couple different things. One of which is that we are going to mention about the HBO Max streaming and like what that's all about. Kind of also maybe touch on maybe the controversy to it too. Um, and it kind of helps segue into other things too. Like Wonder Woman just recently came out, and this is post Christmas, so we're on the 28th right now. Um, and maybe we'll hit up some more of Animaniacs if anybody wants to talk about that. I I haven't finished it. I don't know if Brenda got. I think Brenda got further than me. Um,
Yeah, but I haven't finished it yet. It's a lot. It takes a lot of episodes.
yeah, it's quite a bit.
Mhm.
Quite a
So.
lot of episodes.
Mhm.
But otherwise, as you can tell, Brenda is here with us on the podcast, and as per usual, you remember me, and then Apollo and D. Uh, we've been here since the beginnings. But just yeah, let's start it off with I guess the HBO Max stuff. Or should we talk about our other topic, which might be interesting to talk about, is entertainment IP that does not adapt well with audiences and vice versa?
Yeah, either we could start with either one.
Um, I feel like um, there.
Let's go on the streaming one. Is
Okay.
kind of a warm up.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
HBO Max just recently had come out, and they are also getting some movie because of the whole pandemic, coronavirus, and all that stuff has been shutting down a lot of theaters, basically. Um, and a way for the movie industry to try and combat that is that they're having movies be coming out on streaming services day of, which also affects the the way the payments or like the people's pay and like the deals that they would be getting, because clearly box office is a big deal when it comes to having these movies. And if there's no one going to theaters and it's going straight to streaming, how does that work with the revenue that the people that are making it would get? So there's a little bit of that on the controversy side, but yeah. What's everybody's thoughts on I mean, HBO Max getting all these movies?
Well, yeah, it's specifically from WB. It's WB's
Right.
like entire slate of movies for next year, and they made the deal. And I guess just like to address some of the controversies first. Yeah, there is the payment issue. In terms of, I know people like James Gunn and stuff were sort of pissed about this, mostly because of that. Because like, Wonder Woman was like pretty much like the first big movie to like come out during this deal, and I know that they got like everybody involved in that movie, the creators, the cast, they got like a lot of money for it. They got the like what people are calling the Wonder Woman money for it. They got like basically paid appropriately. Whereas all these other movies and creators like James Gunn with the Suicide Squad and all these things, they're not sure basically how they're going to be paid. And it's not from what I gather, not it's not exactly what they should be getting paid. And then there's also the issues of like people like Legendary, who is they're another company that has its hands in like funding some of these movies, and they had no say in the deal. They didn't even know that this deal was happening between WB and HBO Max. And that's so they're filing. They're looking, I believe, to file a lawsuit against against WB for this because if they help pay for the movies, then they should have a say in how the movies are distributed. And then there's other stuff like Chris Nolan coming out with like obviously he's a guy who wants his movies to come out in theaters, but his main issue with this is that to put it on HBO Max is like which is pretty much objectively kind of the worst like big streaming service out there. Like it's far less stable and reliable than something like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu. Like if you ever used it, like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes like if you're watching a television show on it, like you'll get like some of the episodes and then an episode will air, you'll get to the next episode and it just like won't work. That's happened to me before. So I think that's his main issue. And then Denis Villeneuve, who's one of his movies that's coming out, which is Dune. That's his thing is like he's really championing like just theaters, like that. His movie is something that needs to be seen on the big screen, and that he thinks that just the movie going experience is a sort of social, like it's something important in terms of society and social gatherings and such, and so it's that as well. I guess those are sort of the controversies that I've heard and that I was reading about in terms of this whole thing.
Yeah. The other thing that I did hear too is that the deal was kind of prematurely announced. Like they made the decision and then somehow people started hearing about it when they never got a chance to actually contact any of the people that would be affected by this thing or this announcement. Meaning like the movies that they are going to put on the streaming service, like the directors and the producers of them had no idea that was going to be ending up being the situation. And it kind of does affect the production because you'd have to then now like, wait a minute. It's just like, wait a minute. So that means based on the movie I'm making, it wasn't like as much as that we want to say that was meant to eventually watch at home, but that's eventually. Right now we're making it for the theater, and there's like a specific picture quality that we have to get and a specific audio quality that we need to have hit, and we're aiming for that. But now all of a sudden now we have to scale it to a home movie theater system or setup. And then there's also the not just the directors or the producers of the individual movies, but also the deals that they would have with certain theater companies. Well, I think one of them was AMC. I think it was that they were just like you just didn't like at least have a discussion about this. They just like straight up just like, well, it's our movies, we're moving it to this. And then their decision was to just straight up like, okay, well, you know what, we're just not gonna like, even if you give us the movies to put in our theaters, we're just, you know what, we're not even gonna just have your movies at all. Like if you're gonna do that, yeah. Or at least that's what I heard, but I don't know if I can't necessarily confirm that stuff. But so me and Brenda, we do have HBO Max. If Brenda wants to explain.
Oh, I got a free trial for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 14-day trial. Because
Yeah.
when I bought Blade Runner 2049 on 4K, they give you like this code to download to give it a try and see what you think of it before you decide to like continue with the service.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like the same pricing as Netflix. I mean, they do carry a big library of movies, and they do have like a lot of TV shows on there and a lot of HBO originals also as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's everything that was on HBO Go and HBO Now, and it's just on Max now with a bunch of other like DC movies and other big movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which I have to say, I don't want to spend money on the whole DC Universe thing. Like that DC, I don't know what they call it anymore. It's basically their individual streaming service, and I'm I'm glad
Oh
that it's on
yeah, yeah,
HBO Max because then now I don't need to bother
yeah.
with the
I think the only good thing about the HBO Max is that, I mean, you can go anytime into the app and watch whatever you want at any given time. Not like
Right.
HBO, like, if you have the actual channel, like you have to wait for like some airing
Sure, I
time
mean
on
it's
certain
any
movies.
streaming service is better than the
Yeah,
channel service, but now the
yeah.
question that we should be addressing is like, is it better? Is it the better streaming service now? Like, it's no longer about like show like networks anymore. Like, I don't feel like that
Right.
it's not like they're being like they're really getting pushed out by streaming services, um, and
Mm-hmm.
They
and
are, while they're becoming, ironically, a lot of streaming services are becoming more and more like network television, which is odd,
yes,
which is kind of odd, where they're intentionally like drawing out the shows and making them come out like week to week, which I don't really understand.
yeah, I
I mean,
don't,
I get it from like, I
yeah.
get that they're like, okay, we want people to stick around instead of just, either doing a free trial and going out for one show, or just like staying for the month and then watching their show and then leaving. Like, I get that, like I get it from that perspective, but like the whole reason why like people gravitate toward away from network television to these streaming services is so that they
So
can
they,
watch the
yeah,
show
freely.
like all at once,
Yeah.
however they want. Like, so like I know Netflix has been, they recently said like, yeah, we're looking to become more like a network, like a regular network, and I'm like, why would you say that? That's the reason people go to you, is because you're not
Hmm.
that. Like, so it is kind of weird where you have things like Mandalorian or The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, where it's just like, we're gonna string this out week to week, and it's happening with more and more shows, so it's
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
ironic.
It's
I think the reason why they're doing it that way is because they know they're popular shows. They know if people get trials for it, it makes them stick around in order to continue with their service.
right. They should
You
Yeah.
just
know, instead of binge watching it, okay, that's it. I don't
yeah.
want it. That's it.
Ultimately, they need their problem is they need to change how their free trials even work. Like it's
Hmm.
just not. It's not, and then have a more incentive of like having the subscription at a longer time, like just having maybe something rewarding that isn't just specifically just having to be able to watch the show all at once. Um,
Yeah, I
because
mean, I mean, you look at something like Disney Plus, and it's like I think I did the free trial for that last year for like the first season of Mandalorian, and then I
Mhm.
just left because it's just like, there's not really anything on there that I haven't already
Right,
seen. Like,
right,
and even now they don't have like day and day with like Blu-ray releases or stuff. They don't have like their Marvel movies there. Like, I think like recently they're like, oh yeah, we just brought Doctor Strange there, and I'm like, that movie came out 4 years ago. Like,
yeah. Like, why is
why
it
is
taking so
that
long?
like? What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
and so like it's like there's no reason to stick around there. Like even like in January when WandaVision comes out, like I'll probably get it for that, but it's just like I'll probably leave and then come back for like, I don't know, the Winter Soldier and Falcon or whatever.
mm,
It's just like there's no reason to stick around. Whereas
right,
like with Hulu and Netflix, Amazon Prime, all these other streaming services, there's a bunch of stuff to watch. Like, right, there's
right,
always you always build up that backlog with those streaming services. Whereas with Disney Plus and HBO Max is newer, but they have such a huge library of shows that maybe you missed out on over the years, or maybe like you just want to rewatch, like you want to rewatch Game of Thrones or something. So they have a little bit more staying power, but it still is that same sort of problem where it's just like, I don't know that there's enough new stuff here to keep me around.
yeah. That's the biggest problem, right? With the just
Yeah,
not enough for you to justify like a year's subscription or something like that you just stick with.
yeah,
I think one of the things that is like a big thing to keep people with the streaming service, or kind of judge it on its quality, is like what do they specifically produce that is good? So that can't be just seen everywhere else.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I think honestly should be the reason why they should be doing well with movies and stuff. I give Netflix this, that they've been really championing a lot of just original shows, and then especially animation too. They've been just going crazy with that. Just like,
I think a little bit too crazy though.
yeah, they're
I was
like
gonna say.
throwing money.
I've seen some shows. I'm like, why is this?
Yeah,
even on
exactly.
here?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they really, it's just some of them are
watch
really
this?
terrible
Well,
shows.
because it's the opposite of what it was like 5 years ago, where they had less shows, but they were like known for like never canceling anything. And now it's the opposite, where they just cancel shit just like at the drop of a hat, but they have this huge library where it's like maybe 20% of it's really good, and the other 80% is just like garbage.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Fox, because Mindhunter
Yes, because they're
is not
going-
even getting a new season for it.
Yeah, they're going network.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the whole like them trying to go with network, like a network television type of way. They're judging their quality based off of these numbers that really doesn't actually equal to what they're trying to get to. So they're flooding it. They're basically just blind firing instead of being precise on like, this is exactly what is gonna be good and is gonna gravitate newer subscribers to this platform. But yeah, I agree. Like, it's a double-edged sword in the sense that, like, one, I was glad to see that there's just more being made, but at the same time, like, the quality has dropped significantly because they're just like throwing money out there, and then like the people that they like, for whatever reason, just can't keep up with what they're demanding. Possibly like it's just not getting enough views. And it's different too, because like there's no time slot. They got that whole thing now where you see the, like, this is the most viewed show or whatever, and it's like these are the top 10. So those shows will inevitably always, or shows or movies will always, get out on top. But I don't know how that thing works. Is it actually like based on views, or is that based on like something else altogether?
Based on views or likes or reviews. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the thing that I think they like any streaming service to last longer, especially if they're ones that have a huge library, is how can you introduce new things to the audience that they would never normally check out on their own. Like the algorithm for like recommendations isn't like, it can be really bad for certain people or certain like intellectual properties out there. So one thing I do know, like this is gonna kind of come out of left field, but there's like, if we take it into a sense of like content creation, like YouTube has a hard like there's some people that like they're not getting like the kind of statistics, right? Like to keep getting the views or something like that. And then some people go so hard on what works that their quality dips. So I'm not gonna name the YouTuber, but there's a YouTuber out there that I used to watch a lot for their like news and stuff like that. But you can tell that they are catering towards the clickbait mentality, where the thumbnail and the title suggests that, oh, it's a new trailer for, I don't know, Spider-Man 3. And then it's like, oh, this is not a fucking trailer. This is him just talking about a fictitious trailer. He's just talking about it.
Like, I imagine this will be on
Right.
this. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
String you along with
they
something that
string
sounds
me into
juicier than the
clicking
actual
on it.
content.
Yeah. And I like, as much as I hate it, I also know why they're doing it. It's because the
Sure.
news is so little on like what's going on, that at that point that you might as well be like a discussion YouTube. You're not a news YouTube anymore, because there is nothing to talk about. Like, there's a drought in activity about news that's happening about Spider-Man or something like that. So he's like making Spider-Man like new stuff, but it's every week is the same thing, and he just comes up with some sort of another speculative bullshit.
and I know
Yeah,
exactly
the
who you're
video
talking
fake news
about.
is what it is.
Right,
I think
right.
all of us do know who you're talking
Yeah.
That's the thing. Well, that's the thing. I always see his videos, and I'm always like, I never click on them because it's always like, oh, Spider-Man news, Spider-Man this, and I'm like, I know it's not real because I haven't seen it on like legitimate news sites.
Right.
So like,
Yeah.
I know it's just rumors that you're painting as news,
Yes.
which I get. While I do understand why he's doing it, your audience is not going to stick around for that.
Yeah,
Like, they're
exactly.
not just going to keep taking this fake bullshit that you're putting out there. Like, you can't. Like, you're betraying your audience every single time you come out with one of these videos. Like, it's more content, but it's not quality content.
Exactly.
And it's not what they signed up for.
Yeah, and he's fighting the really bad algorithm that YouTube has, where the people on top have to like just fight to stay on top, or to fight to even just exist. And then there's things like the reason why like a lot of like I don't know, streamers and YouTubers will say TikTok is like a huge, like, if you want to blow, like, quote unquote blow up, like that's the way that you can kind of shift your audiences from a TikToker to a YouTuber to a streamer. It's because the TikTok has a very well done algorithm where you may like click on the things that you're like, oh, I'm looking for XYZ streamer because I want to see what they're doing on TikTok or something. Because they like, maybe it's not even like dancing videos or anything like that. Like, maybe it's something they talk about that's like, I don't know, you're getting good at a video game or something, or they come up with this interesting theory about a IP that you like, and it does only for like a couple seconds. Like, it's a really quick. It's not a 15-minute video or an hour-long podcast like we do, but it's short form. But for the people that are newer to it, they have this recommended section that like automatically introduces you to a completely different YouTuber, and based on how you like interact with that, then they'll show you other YouTubers, other TikTokers. So it doesn't just repeat the same thing on YouTube, all it does is just, if I start clicking on like say Fortnite, then it's just gonna flood the fuck out of my feed with Fortnite stuff.
It's gonna be, it's gonna
it's just
Even if you're not searching for Fortnite.
Yeah, and it's
Right,
just like a repeat, and it just keeps fucking like shoving that in my face. So it's like they don't introduce me to new YouTubers either. Like, they just give me the same shit, the same thing over and over, which makes no sense, because why do I need that for trending or for my homepage when I could just go to my subscription page? Like, if I wanted to see the same subscription, like subscribe who I subscribe to, then why split it up and still shove the same thing in my face? Whereas TikTok, the way it works is that they consistently give you something very different, sprinkled with another thing of something that's this might be similar to what you watch. And then you just get introduced to newer and newer people. And then that's how, like, in that end, in terms of TikTok, not that I agree with like some of the ridiculous fucking stupid trends that come up from it.
But at least the results are different.
Yeah. At least the results are different. And then the algorithm is catered towards the smaller people, right? Like, there's like people that they have like less than 100,000 or something, or like they're at 50,000, but I'm still getting it. That's the biggest difference. And I feel like that's the problem that Netflix is running into. Their algorithm is just like, they haven't nailed it. And then their mindset is coming down to a really archaic way of thinking about television. Because if they're going to go with the network television, the way they think, like every fucking like actor, producer, director, they always say that the way they represent, like, if this is a good show or not, is just like totally out of touch with like what the core was, why say Friends did well, or Frasier or something like that. Like, these,
The Office.
or The Office, right? Like these things that doesn't necessarily, like Frasier, I'm pretty sure was like, oh, spin-off shows, no one's gonna like that. Should we do that? Like, who cares about it? But they did so well. And they just go with this kind of weird way of thinking of like how we view it. So hopefully we get to see some evolution in streaming, that they nail it right, hopefully. But it's good to see that we have some competition here and there.
Well, I think for the WB HBO Max deal in particular, I think that the controversies are the sort of backlash against that are certainly valid. Like, people need to be paid appropriately for their work, for sure. Like I think that's the biggest issue. They need to be paid appropriately. But in terms of the deal itself and like having the movies come there, it's extremely pro-consumer. I mean, it couldn't be more pro-consumer. Like 100% understand Denis Villeneuve's argument about how it needs to be seen in theaters and this and that, but it's kind of like, I mean, dude, do you want to have your movie be seen in theaters where no one's gonna be, or do you want it to be seen? Because you kind of have to make a choice at this point, and you're already delaying your movie a year. So like, do you want to just keep delaying it? And the thing is like, for the last 20 years, movie theaters have been on the decline year over year.
Right.
They like, the only reason they make money is because of overseas stuff, especially mostly China, which is why a lot of movies have to cater to that and make extra scenes and not say bad things about Tiananmen Square and all this bullshit, to not offend China. But like, the thing is that like, this deal itself, like, you're getting a year of movies that you otherwise wouldn't see. And the thing is that like, it's good for the pandemic for sure. Like it's good because people are inside, they're at home, they want to watch stuff. But I think even when the pandemic, whenever it's done and we're through this, like, theaters are still on their way out. Like, I'm sorry to tell you, but theaters are for the movie industry as GameStop is for the game industry. It's inevitable that they will eventually go away because they're the middleman that the movie making companies have to pay. And if you take that middleman out, then the companies get more money. So like it's this our agreement that they made, decades ago, a century ago, when theaters started really springing up, that is still sort of clung to. But this deal and like specifically is I think going to really show like, I think it's going to show them like, not only are more people going to be watching their stuff like at home, but it's like, oh yeah, we also don't have to pay the theaters a ridiculous amount of money to distribute them. And I understand the ceremony of going to the movies, and it's a Saturday night, you want to go there with your significant other or your friends or whatever, but it kind of comes down to like, what is like everything else really in entertainment, what is most convenient? Would you rather do that, or would you rather stay home and like would you rather sit? The thing, if you just do the math, like sitting 100 feet away from a 50-foot screen in a movie theater is the same thing as sitting 10 feet away in your living room, looking at your 6 foot long television. Like it's the same thing. And like, you can always invite friends over, you can always order food, and it's more convenient. But like, yeah, I just basically, to boil down my point, I just think that definitely the biggest thing, people need to be paid for their work 100%, but this deal actually is extremely pro-consumer, and I like that they're doing it, because I think that the biggest takeaway for this is that people should have a choice for how they watch their movies. They should be able to watch their movies. I think everyone should, like, if you want to, like, let's say that the pandemic was done, and like, if you want to see the movie in theaters on day one, you can do that. But if you want to just stay home and like order food or whatever, invite friends over and watch it at home, you can do that too, and you can do it all day one. Like, I like the idea of just having choice about how to watch your movies. Like, I think it makes complete sense, and
I'd like to add to that because it really does raise the question of what is the movie experience for people, since now that we have the simultaneous releases of movies being released on both streaming services and the theater at the same time and giving you a choice, it's not exactly cutting out the theater experience if you want to take that risk.
Right.
But it also raises the idea that going to the movie theater may be in its own on its own social experience, not just with your friends, but you're experiencing a story with random strangers. So you might remember some scenes more, just to raise a little bit of sentimentality. Like, you might remember when the audience cheered or clapped during this scene or that scene. Like, everyone who saw Endgame, for example, where did the audience applaud? I mean, they applauded on scenes like going for the head, or the look at all these female Avengers. Wouldn't it be great if we had a all female Avengers TV / movie / whatever? It's like, the audience cheered for that. It's like, it doesn't matter whether or not those scenes were necessarily good or not. The whole point is you experience them in a crowd, like it was a live event, like sports or something like that.
Right.
And I can understand that. I have a freaking projector. I would plug projector cells to say, hey guys, you want to not miss out on the whole big screen experience? Buy a projector. They cost like $300. You can set one up to your computer or your tablet or device and watch it big screen, like nothing's lost. But even if you have that big screen, it's like you're still missing part of the movie experience, but there's good reason. We are suffering a pandemic. You want to make your last days be because you decided to go to the movie theater just because you listened to the director's whims and sentimentalism? It's like, why even run that risk at all? The studios are just covering their asses so they don't get sued. It's one of those, we got to meet people halfway. Yeah, sure, the movie theater going experience does seem important, but we also have to think about the safety of our customers.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of the pandemic, like, you brought up the movie experience, and that's different for everyone, right? Like, it's like, for sure, like an Endgame and like Avengers movies and Star Wars movies, I feel like, and a few other movies, but like some of these big movies where it's like there's a lot of fanfare around it, I feel like in the theater, like just divorced of everything that happens before or after, just in the theater, there seems to be sort of like the audience respects those movies. There's like kind of a respect to them where it's just like, okay, we're not going to really talk. There's this sort of palpable energy in the audience for those movies. But like a lot of movies, like most other movies, like sometimes your experience is based on the audience, and sometimes the audience sucks, and sometimes that fucks your experience. So it sort of just depends on, that's the thing. That's why I like the choice, right? I like the choice of like day one digital or going to the theater. Like, just let people see the movie however they want, because like the movie, I love movies, but I'm not really crazy about movie theaters. To be perfectly honest, if I had the choice to be able to see every single movie I wanted to see day one digital, like forever, like I'd never go to a movie theater again. So, but like I understand the ceremony of it, and I understand the importance of it and why people love it. So it's just that choice is good, and the movie experience is important, even though it's different for everybody.
It's nice that we're bringing up the different ways people experience movies. I think that there's another thing that like I agree to. Like, if I had a choice to just be able to watch all movies just streaming, then I'd go for it. Never have to leave. Like, I'm okay with that. And then there's other people that also that are like, I think that's one we haven't talked about, is like the people that are more of the purist side. Like, they're thinking that the movie experience is the exact way that the movie was intended to be watched, And
Right.
yeah, there is people like that, and not saying that they're wrong or right or anything like that. It's there is that type, but then I would say for those people also, I mean, there's a technology thing that we need to consider, is that the sure IMAX blah blah blah, you know, that tech and stuff like that, like that's experience that, like I would say Christopher Nolan specifically does a lot of where he's trying to make the movie like cater to that highest end quality. But at the same time, as technology goes, it grows. So that means the tech that you would have experienced in the theater you could do it at home. And I'm glad that somebody's bringing up that, you know, you can get a projector. You can even get like a just like
Projector,
literally
sound system.
yeah, exactly. You could even friggin' build a whole room just dedicated to just the movie experience, and that's just
And
you know
people do,
and
yeah.
people do, yeah. So and then at the same time, then if it could be done, then why not let the audience choose the way they want to watch it then?
Right.
So yeah, I mean now on like I guess we could play it the other way too. Is like then what can we say that like then why do we go to the movie theater? I think in the end it's because there was no choice, right? So what
Yeah.
is
I mean, that was
the
certainly the case for me. Yeah.
yeah, so the theater, like what incentivizes people to go there? Like what would be
I'm
like something that's necessary, like if you wanted to, like if you really like this movie, sure, you just go and see it in the theater and you want to see it in the theater. But then what is the place like necessary? I feel like the communal part would be the biggest difference, like the social aspect to it. So that means you can't have a sustainable situation with movie theaters if no one's just going to the movie theaters every day. So that means you just need to be more precise, that it's like precise in terms of like there's an event, right? Conventions or something. Let's just say that we're done with pandemic, but we've come the industry has come to realize like, you know, we don't actually need to have the theater like, you know, running our movies every day. That maybe we need to curate it more precisely of like, let's just do events. Like instead of just having the box office boom and then now we just have it run the movie until it's just like no one watches it. And then like that movie company, or the theater company rather, like they're gonna have to pay for their space for the rest of the year when only like what 90 like 6 maybe even more than that 8 months out of the year really like it's like, you know, they're treading water. That's why they push so much for their food. Like the food is what's actually keeping them paid and keeping
and it's
them
a
there.
racket, and it always has been.
Yeah,
where it's
so
like when I was 6, I go to the theater and it was like $8 for a fucking pack.
Yeah,
of
it's ridiculous.
Whatever. And you know, we went to the theaters earlier this year for Rise of Skywalker and Uncut Gems, and I was like, yeah, it's the same price. Like it's still the same price for this shit. Like
So it's like you know, like how do they like where do they come? Where do they try to make some sort of like tactical like where do they do like I mean
their tactics have been what they've been doing for the last 20 years, which are the gimmicks, right?
Yeah,
the 3D,
the gimmicks, right?
The XD, the whatever, the extreme experience and all that, where it's like, you know.
And in the end, that's still not, and it's exactly, it's still not working.
It's not enough. I mean, there's still less and less people going every year. So
yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I think in the end maybe like it can like you're gonna like we'll just lose a lot of like places where the theaters are, but then the few that they have, make it some sort of event, like make it so that they can actually like people are like to equal to in a convention in a sense where you're meeting newer like, and it might not even big theaters too, like it could be, or big movies, it could be like smaller movies, and we're trying to more cater towards the like the movie aficionado type,
Probably like art house stuff and
yeah,
that sort
something
of
more
stuff.
grounded, something that's where like I feel like I've been part of something. That's probably like that's all I can think of that can actually just like
Or like, I mean, just
make it
more
relevant
quality
still.
experiences, like something like Alamo Draft House, right?
Right.
Where you have really nice
Agree.
seats and you can order really nice food and you can get beer and you
Yeah.
can just kind of relax and just
And top of that, they have rules to kick out assholes, which
Right.
I fucking love because I
Right.
can't stand it sometimes, when
Yeah,
I go to
and I
theaters.
mean, yeah, and that's the thing is that like these big chains, like like I said, it is inevitable that they're going to go away. The pandemic is just speeding it up.
Right.
But it's not like, but like you were saying, Sean, movie theaters will never completely go away.
Yeah.
Ever. Like
Yeah,
they will just become more of a novelty.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, like maybe we go once a month, but we have a really, really good time when we go. And we have really good food there and we have drinks with our friends or whatever.
Mhm.
And, you just have a really nice experience. And that's, I mean, for that, for that sort of experience, I would go to the movie theater, right? Like that's sort of that's experience where it's sort of a guarantee, what you're getting every time is that's definitely something worth going for. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Brenda. So you've been watching a lot of HBO Max stuff. What have you been? What have you been watching? What is your opinion? I mean, we've watched so many different streaming stuff, like Netflix, of course, but Amazon Prime is a really good one as well. Some really good shows from that, and then we've what else have we toyed around with? I mean, we watched stuff on Hulu, certainly. Yeah, that's about it. But you've been watching more stuff on HBO Max more than I have.
Yeah, I mean, like they have a lot of new stuff that we haven't seen, and I mean they have a lot of old stuff that we've seen, which, in my opinion, I like to re-see it again.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the old stuff that you can't really get unless you actually buy it. Like of course, like Die Hard, all three movies are on there.
Yeah.
And then like what is it? Misery is on there too.
Yeah, you just recently rewatched that.
I just finished watching that. Yeah, rewatching it, and like those are movies that you grow up with and you love.
Yeah.
I mean, like how like when you're talking about the movie theaters, how some incentive of getting people to go in there as an event. You guys remember the Cornetto Trilogy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. You
see,
yeah,
explain
a little bit what we went through.
So with the Cornetto Trilogy, it was all three movies that what is it? Edgar Wright did, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. And what I like about the experience, even if it was a long experience and the theater was packed, is they gave an intro and they had like little like quizzes and stuff, like they made it fun for the audience. And I still remember too that you actually got a t-shirt out of it too. That's like kind of like a keepsake.
We got a badge, a special t-shirt that was the map of the bars
of the World's End.
Yeah,
the bars.
That was really cool. Yeah.
That was a cool experience.
They actually had the Cornetto ice cream that you could get as well.
No, you can't. You would have to import that.
I thought they had it there.
They didn't have it there, but apparently in other countries they did when they were doing that.
In other countries they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not. It's like what was that dessert? I forgot. I think it was there was a dessert before that looked like a cake that didn't even make it here anymore. I'll look it up, but it's like desserts like that's only like UK based desserts and all that stuff. That I mean, like I think if I were to go back to England, I would like to eat a Cornetto to taste it.
Right.
So
and,
that was a really good experience.
That kind of experience is a cool experience.
Which,
I mean,
by the way,
I wish
we did bring Jose, our friend Jose, and he didn't watch some of those movies. I think, which one did he not watch? He was something like, well, obviously World's End, all three of us like that's our first time watching it. But then we like I forget, either Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead. I think he saw Shaun of the Dead already.
Yeah, but not Hot Fuzz.
Oh, okay, right. So so we kind of did this thing where he kind of just he tags along and he's like, I just hang out with friends and I'll just secretly fall asleep and this.
Yeah.
So he already saw Shaun of the Dead. So he, long day. He had, I think it was a long day from work too. Plus also, he gets tired pretty easily. But not to dish anything out against him or anything. No, like he was expecting, like, oh, like I'll just just kind of doze off until like the third movie comes up. But he didn't see Hot Fuzz, and when that that started playing, he's all like, "Whoa, I watched the whole thing. The next movie's starting. Oh God!" And then he was saying he was surprised that how entertained he was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was a matter of
And like
the theater experience that I think was also like he was expecting it was going to be too comfortable for him to keep himself awake.
yeah. and I think
But I'm
I
glad
wish
he
that
came, though.
the movie theaters would do more stuff like that. Even if it's, I know like what they were trying to do was they were trying to bring old movies back to rewatch on certain days.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was
But
nice.
but you know what though? That is nice, but it's very inconvenient because it's only like one or 2 days out of the week that some people are not even available to do it.
Right.
Right.
It would be nice to do like, okay, this whole week we'll do this.
Oh,
You'll
I see.
probably get more people to watch it because it's more available showtimes on certain days.
Well, that's also like, I mean, I agree. At the same time, also, how logistically is that going to be useful for them? Because like, I'm thinking what's happening is that the like they would have to pick the movies that they know that they're going to have audiences for to actually come and watch it, right? So because then it takes up the time slot and it takes up a whole room, and depending on the theater, they probably don't have enough space. And then if you're the person to make the decision, okay, if I have, say, let's just say you have 10, okay, how about 5 like actual screens, right? And then you have this new movie that just came out. You know for a fact that the first 3 weeks you're going to make XYZ money if you put all 5 of them as that movie. And you'll be making not only the how much the movie costs, how much the people working, and then the actual space. You'll be probably set for the next 3 months maybe of just money to just stay alive. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say it was that extreme. But then also that you want to have a consistency of like movie goers that to make up the small gaps. But you don't know if those small gaps happen either being during Monday through Thursday. So then what do you do? Like put 2 movies of that during the day? There's more. It has to be a logistical reason why they can only do those movies on specific days. I'm just saying, like, to play the other side of the coin of that. But I do agree if they can make it so that's like a little bit longer of a gap, like, of time for you to actually go see the movie, it'd be very friendly in terms of like just being able to make the time for it. Because I tell you, everybody's living busy lives to coordinate all of us. Like when we went to go see Endgame, like to coordinate all of us to all see the movie together. I tell you, it's not easy. Because there's just so many factors.
It's when I had to buy like all 15 tickets in one single shot. I'm like, who's going?
Right.
Because I'm buying a one-time only, and that's it. Because so all of us can sit in one row.
Right.
Right.
And
I think I did that twice.
Yeah.
I think it was for Endgame and something else.
Infinity. I think we did it for Infinity.
Yeah, I think it was for both of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Right.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was definitely the case. Yeah, we had to like really nail down. It's like we're planning a wedding.
I know, like, how many seats in this table, please?
Really wanted to make sure that we would get the whole row for everybody.
Uh-huh.
I remember too that the theaters were trying to do this thing where you can get a private showing and you can actually man, that sounded fun just because like I don't have to deal with anybody else other than the group of people.
Yeah, like for the
Yeah.
pandemic,
know?
you mean? Like they were starting to,
Yeah, they were starting to do that like private showing thing, and that sounded so
But it
good.
depends on how many people you get.
Yeah.
I think it was like a maximum of 12 people or 15
I
people
think
or
I
something like
remember
that.
reading it was 20, and it depends on the movie. So if it was like something like
Yeah.
Tenet, you would have to
God,
pay
Jesus, that's
a
gonna be
lot.
up to like 350,
Yeah,
depending on
to
the
get
people that go
whole
watch it.
to get the
Mm-hmm.
whole theater for yourself type of thing. But yeah, that was jeez. But I mean, yeah. But anyway, so HBO
Yeah,
Max.
I think.
What other things have you been watching on there? We were
Um.
considering rewatching some Game of Thrones on there too, and then I think.
Oh God, no, no, nope, no, not for me.
What, you
I'm
don't want to
sorry,
go
I don't
through
want to
all
see
those
that.
seasons? Come on. All right. Anyways.
Hell no.
Oh jeez. We'll cut out the
I'd
end. No
rather
problem.
I'd rather go through Westworld. I'm sorry, but
I mean, we
not
already
Game of
got that
Thrones.
on Blu-ray, but yeah, I mean, I do enjoy
Because
Westworld.
they have all the seasons of Westworld on there.
Yeah,
So
it's shorter too, only that many seasons. There's also Watchmen. I haven't seen that.
the
Is
series.
which I
on there.
heard got canceled. The writer,
Yeah,
I
it's
guess,
too bad.
stepped away or something like
It
that.
didn't get canceled. He only had plans for one season, and
Oh.
people were postulating that he had plans for more, and he said maybe someday, but this is meant to be a limited like standalone series.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting.
What I do like about HBO Max is they have a lot of original documentaries
Yeah,
on here.
mm,
You know, that's what I like. I mean, like just recently, I've been watching. I haven't finished watching it. This documentary about the mystery of DB Cooper.
oh yeah,
You remember?
Mhm,
Yeah,
the dude who
about that
jumped out
guy
of the
that hijacked the plane.
and
Mm-hmm.
he disappeared.
Yeah.
He just
There's
vanished.
like they're in the documentary they're interviewing like 3 different people, I think, or 2 different people, saying that this person was actually DB Cooper, or like, oh, my uncle was DB Cooper.
Right.
All these different
heck?
theories and like evidence and stuff like that. And one of them, but we never know if it was made up or whatever, because they
Yeah,
never
you can
found
really
out.
never know. Yeah.
You can only speculate,
Yeah.
you know.
Sometimes
And
it's
I'm
fun
pretty
to
sure
just
that
speculate.
person is either that person was long and gone and something happened to them right there and there, right? They didn't survive it, or if they did survive, they're probably already dead already. Like, wait, passed, or they're really probably like 80s or 90s, depending how old that person was when they hijacked the plane.
Oh,
Because this was in the 70s
right.
when it happened. I think it was like 1971 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that person, even if they were to find out who it is, probably long gone now. But I've been watching that, and then of course Jojo Rabbit. And then let me see. They have a lot of Adult Swim shows on here too. They have like a whole section.
They have the
They have all these
infomercial.
sections. Infomercials, yeah.
The infomercial ones, guys. Do you remember the Too Many Cooks?
Yeah.
Too many.
That's what it is. It's part of the series called the infomercials on there. It's so
I mean,
funny.
let me see. They have HBO like originals, DC, Adult Swim collection, Cartoon Network collection, Looney Tunes, Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
Sesame Street like Workshop, Studio
Crunchyroll?
Ghibli.
Wait a minute. Crunchyroll is a show?
Yeah.
What?
Crunchyroll, no, like the collection Crunchyroll. Like there's a lot of animes on here.
Huh. Well, I thought Crunchyroll is its own streaming service, though.
It is,
It-
but I'm
it
guessing
is.
they have, I guess,
They have
some
shows
access to
made.
it. I don't know.
It,
I'm
it probably
confused.
won't be on there much longer because Sony just bought them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sony bought, I think, Funimation and Crunchyroll. So they
Yeah.
have like all the anime now.
Yeah.
They have all the anime now.
Monopolize the anime.
Then they have like HBO Max originals and like the TMC Turner Classic TCM, I mean Turner Classic movies. They have like collections here and there. Like if I click I'm on the app right now. Like if I click Adult Swim, they have like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. They basically have all the shows, including Primal, the latest
Hmm.
season of it too. I think, I believe so. But yeah, they have a lot of it on here. You know, they have a lot of old school like Moral Oral, C Lab 2021, Samurai Jack, Squidbillies, Super Jail, which I haven't seen that in a long,
Mm.
long time.
Yeah, you're
You
a big
know,
fan of that.
yeah, they have all 4 seasons of Super Jail on here. But I mean, like, there's not all the shows are not here. I think some of the more recent shows that are on Adult Swim now are not on here,
Oh,
unless they
you
think they're
know
like
what?
super weird and they don't have them.
So one thing I don't like about HBO Max is that you couldn't play like it didn't, or we
You
couldn't
can't
figure it out.
restart.
You can't restart it.
You,
You have to like,
you not like on
manually
Netflix that you can
rewind
like
shit.
You have to
start
go
from
through,
beginning.
yeah, the whole thing, yeah.
oh
Yeah.
I'm like,
Jesus.
thanks for spoiling everything. You know,
Yeah.
you see like a reverse stab, like a knife coming
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Like, oh great, now we know someone gets
It's a
stabbed.
reverse stab.
You know,
It's a
it's like-
tenant. It's a tenant stab.
It's a Tenet moment right there. That's the only I guess gripe that I have
That's
about it
funny. Right. Yeah.
is that they don't have that capability of like play from beginning.
Mm.
I would also say too that for them for being an app and you know and all that stuff, almost like Netflix, like have these different subtitles. All they have is closed captioning and that's it.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
all they have. You know, they
Interesting.
only have closed captioning for the hearing impaired, basically. But
Yeah.
like it's not like they don't have Spanish or Chinese, like the basic languages that you would think you would have,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
remember-
for
I
like
remember
bigger
experiencing-
audiences.
Yeah, I remember experiencing all that stuff when it was still HBO Go. Like, there's just like a lot of quality of life issues that they just have never solved. And to be HBO, this place of like, you know, premium television, and to not solve
Yeah,
these things
exactly.
is like
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, I
Right.
remember when it was still HBO Go, and I would like, you know, watch the new season of Game of Thrones, and I would like, you know, put in my credit card information or like try to renew my billing information or whatever. Like you couldn't do it. Like I had the HBO Now or app on my PlayStation, and you couldn't like actually renew it anywhere except your phone. Like you couldn't renew it
Weird.
like when you went to your
Like
television.
yeah, you
or
can't
your
enter the
computer.
information through the
Yeah, it
PlayStation.
just-
You have
Through
to
the
go
app
through the
itself.
app, through
Okay.
the app, or I'll go online on the computer and do it through there.
Wait, you couldn't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it through the app?
No. The way it worked, at least when I was doing it on HBO Now, was like even if you went to the app on the television or the PlayStation or your computer, it would redirect. It would say, "No, you can't do it here. Go on your phone." Like you have to have
Really?
the app like on
Huh.
all the places, and you could only do it
Ah.
on your phone. And I was just like, this is just like so like ridiculous, the amount of steps just to like renew
Yeah.
this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's wild.
I think that's what
I mean,
I
like-
think that's what Christopher Nolan was talking about, where he was just like, "This is like the worst place to put the movies. 'Cause there's so many quality of life
Yeah.
issues
Right.
that,
I mean,
that are so
I-
easily solvable."
Right.
I think with Netflix, that's the reason why I like them better. I mean, they have a lot of content,
Well, you know,
a lot of,
think about it this
a
way.
lot of. I would.
Yeah, but at the same time, Netflix has been doing this for a long time too. I'm
No,
not
I
saying
know,
that
I
HBO
know,
should
but-
have. They should have.
True,
They
but
should have
I mean, like-
definitely
they could
solved
I mean,
it.
like,
easily
just
like, patch
recently-
that in, you know?
Right.
Yeah, can't they fix that? It's like, come on,
Yeah,
they
I'm pretty
have
sure
the
they-
money to do it.
Yeah, enough people complaining. I mean, I should. Yeah, I 100% think they. I'm like, look, I'm thinking. I hopefully they will, but at the
mean,
same
we'll
time,
see.
I
Well,
really
obviously
think
they
they
didn't. This
should.
is like what the second time or something they're doing something like this, and they haven't even fixed that.
Right, you know, they
Yeah, I mean,
rebranded
people
it
have been complaining about
like,
this stuff for years.
twice or
with-
3
with
times?
the
At least
HBO
like the
app.
basic languages, like of course English for the hearing impaired,
Right.
Spanish and Chinese.
So
you know,
basically,
and then
basically
you know probably
if they're getting these movies right, like they really need to up their game. Then like they just need to be competitive as just the app itself, right? Like
yeah,
the platform itself
mean,
needs to be
it needs to improve.
needs to
It
improve.
has to be improved.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
need to absolutely put their money where their mouth is, and if they're gonna get these movies there, they better just haul some ass because it's a Band-Aid problem. like it's not gonna. Their problems are gonna get worse if they don't solve these things, because then eventually they're not gonna get those movies on that service, and then the other streaming services that have a better platform are gonna just like what is the producer gonna choose, them or this that like has better services for their consumers, like there is gonna reach people better if people just have that kind of hard time using the app. I mean, in my view, like, yeah, if I had a movie that I wanted to have a good experience for my audiences, I would definitely go for something else, like something that's like Netflix, in the sense that they have already all those features that we've grown to like, how should I say, assume that the streaming service would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it should be that's the standard. That one thing too, it was really funny, cause like for me, like Brenda will watch some of the shows or movies, and then when we come together, because we're working and all that stuff, and then we only see each other in the evening, right? So then she wants to show me this, but she wants to show me from the beginning, right? It's a little bit like that movie experience where you are watching something cool or something that you find interesting and you want to share it with somebody, but then you have to fucking rewind it where you're like seeing everything that's happening, and now the person expects the stuff that they just saw. I mean, I'm not one to say that spoilers is like, oh, it's just such a sinful thing. Like, but it does, it affects like the experience. It depends on the movie too, or the show. Like, especially if it really is catering towards a surprise, but you already saw it while the rewind was happening, then that's gonna suck, right? So yeah, HBO Max, get on your shit. Hire somebody to fucking make that UI work.
Yeah.
So what we haven't experienced is that subscription, resubscribing or whatever thing yet, or we haven't.
Not yet. I haven't gotten an email yet. I haven't gotten an email saying like if you want to keep it or whatever.
Right.
So I'm just like
curious now.
I'm on the fence about it.
I'm gonna go check that at some point.
I don't know if like it's the same way it was when I was using HBO Now, but they don't send you an email. You just have to pay attention to the date, and then if you don't, then you're just charged.
And there's no account.
Keep that in mind.
Okay. Is there like an account login page when you're in the app?
It's not a login. It's just like it should just be like a
I think I have until like, on the side. I think I have. Oh yeah. So my trial ends on January 2nd.
Yeah, it's like a 2-week trial right now. But like,
yeah.
I basically like we'll keep an eye out, because we haven't really like toyed with like, how like in some places like you can actually view your account on the thing itself. Yeah. There's like there's a hub for that, generally speaking. But yeah, HBO Max. We saw. Now we can. I guess we just talk about Wonder Woman. Does anybody mind? Do you mind if we talk about it?
I do not mind. I've been looking at all the discussion on that all weekend.
Oh God.
Nice.
Yeah.
So all right. So yeah, Wonder Woman. It recently came out. It was on Christmas Day. Me and Brenda saw it. Brenda has been, pretty excited about it, I would say. On my the way that I see it. But yeah, Brenda, you go for it. Like you've watched the first one. You like that one. I like that one too. Yeah. What's your opinion?
I think I never been so disappointed in a movie.
Oh, by the way, spoilers
after watching.
ahead. We're going to talk about spoilers in
Really?
Wonder Woman. So there you go.
Never.
I would say, because I was hearing some, looking at some YouTube videos and all that stuff about their opinions about the movie. I would say the first one is actually better than the second one. The second one is what does it remind me of? It reminds me of something, but they just tried. Okay, first of all, this movie should have been split in 2 movies. not into one single 2.5 hour movie. That is too long. And because it couldn't even keep a concise, I guess, storyline, and like it was just everywhere on the map with this, and it's kind of frustrating because it was almost like
something specific that that you would say is the
okay. First of all, I think some of the stuff is that there was a lot of things happening that weren't really explained in the movie. They're like, wait, what the fuck? How did this happen?
Like the
logic
logic behind it, or like
the logic of it. I'm just like, they could have said like, oh, this is this, or whatever.
Right. Okay. Do you have a specific like you can talk about the scenes? We're going full spoiler.
So one of the specific ones is when what's his face? Pedro Pascal's character was on the plane, on the helicopter, going to, I guess, the final stage of him trying to take over, get people sucking their lives or whatever, granting everybody's wishes in exchange for their health to keep alive. So basically,
I mean, well,
Barbara,
okay, first of all, maybe we should explain about Pascal and his character and what he did with the thing, the item.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the movie, basically, I have to like go through the beginning, man. So at the beginning of the movie, we know Pedro Pascal's character is basically one of those, like, I guess, TV personalities that is the standard, like, he's all smiles and grins and everything on TV, but in reality, he's just like really broke and he's trying to see how to get ahead. And I guessing for a long time, he's been looking for a stone, I guess, that grants people's wishes, that came across at the beginning of the movie. There was, I guess, they were doing a heist, a robbery at a jewelry store, which was fronting as a antiques dealing, like a black market behind the scenes. And that stone was actually in the jewelry shop, and the FBI confiscated everything after the robbery. And Max, I think it's Max Lord. I think it's his name.
Maxwell Lord, yeah.
Maxwell Lord, yeah. So he originally was planning to buy that stone because throughout the movie, when the stone goes missing and stuff like that, they find a receipt with his name in the box. But eventually he gets his hands on it.
That's a small, like a small detail. Let's just say that's not even close to.
They don't even explain it. They don't even explain it either. You kind of have to like.
That's an acceptable, logical, like goof up, right? There's bigger things to fry here.
Okay, so hang on. So he doesn't have like mind control abilities?
No. Okay, so okay, so let's just get to the meat of it. So he gets the item in question that grants. It's basically a genie in a bottle type of thing, right? But there's no genie.
Hey everybody, what's up?
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt.
Welcome. Hello.
Sorry, I'm here. Like I used to tell my
mom.
Cool.
We're talking about Wonder Woman. By the way, everybody in the audience, this is Carlos. If you haven't, blah, 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 blah.
Yes,
and we
Carlos
just talked about HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the self-deprecating bit.
Okay. All right. So then, I'll also note, my aunt's gonna drop off something in 15 minutes. So if I escape, it's because I'm doing that. So y'all can do your thing. So anyways, let's get back to the description. So the big thing here is that Pedro Pascal's character, Max Lord, he gets the rock, and that's the thing that grants people's wishes, right? But he wishes to become the Rock. So now he has I'm not talking about the Rock as in the wrestler.
Yeah, I was gonna say
what the Rock is cooking.
Well, it was bullshit. That's what.
So he's wishing to become a genie. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
And the con here.
So
the con here is that he grants people's wishes, but in turn he takes something that he wants from them. So that's
it's a monkey paw situation.
Like, and the fuck you even said it. Okay, so here's the thing that fucking annoys the fuck out of me. The entire time of them explaining how the fucking rock works is literally saying monkey's paw.
Yeah, pretty much.
They keep on referring to that as the one explanation to fucking explain the logistics or like the mechanics of how his wishes work. And it pisses me off because I'm all like, stop telling me it's monkey's paw when you could have just made it monkey's paw then. Fuck The Rock, just make it monkey's paw.
Yeah.
Like, and then on top of that, you get this issue of like, you get The Rock that is made by some sort of trickster, but it's this one-liner that she explains it, and we never meet the fucking god. You never meet any history of what the fucking Rock had done. Just some random guy that they meet that happens to be a descendant of Mayans, has a book, explains that,
Yeah.
that this fucking Rock has been destroying, like
Civilizations.
yeah, civilizations for years. And I'm all like, why don't we get more of that shit in this story? I mean, I get it. People didn't like the fucking god that we met in the previous. But, dude, this is Wonder Woman. It has everything to do with, like, all these Greek gods and stuff. Why aren't we seeing that? Like, it was like... I just yeah, and then the fact that they keep throwing these like really easy ways to explain the logic was making it more confusing, because the wishes that you were granted also took something away, but we didn't understand. I didn't understand until the very end what that thing was being taken away from. So me and Brenda, when we were watching it, we were like, wait, what's going on here? Is the powers... Okay, so Minerva, right? That's her name?
Yeah, Minerva.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Minerva.
She makes she ends up making the first wish in the entire thing. This is when it was still a rock.
No. The first wish was for a coffee. I hope you get the lower
my God.
right in this. I bet that guy was just really pissed, right? It's like, wait, does that mean I could have gotten anything I ever wanted and I wish for a goddamn coffee? God damn.
Well, that's another problem too. It's also confusing because they didn't does everybody get one wish? Like, it implies that you
Minerva
do.
got two.
But yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
What
It's
the
like
fuck?
that's
You're not
what
following your
like,
own
what?
Yeah, you're not following your
Yeah.
own logic. Like, I don't understand. Like, what does it mean? Okay, see, here's the thing. She got a wish when it was still a rock to be Diana. Not knowing that Diana is Wonder Woman, of course, no one knows at this point that she's Wonder Woman, which I need to express that this is happening before Batman versus Superman, when no one knows that she exists. Very specifically. Now keep that in the back of your mind. Yeah, keep that in the back of your
Isn't she
head.
in the White House in like one part of the movie?
Yes.
But no one knows she exists.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, why
Got
not?
Mhm,
Reasons. There was no cameras. Fine. Like,
All those soldiers
What?
in World War One didn't see her either walking out into the field. like, being
Yeah,
shot
clearly.
up at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I mean,
so moving
You
forward.
could at least excuse that one with saying that, like, oh, people were just imagining things. It's just a World War One legend.
But
that
the
didn't
end of the
really
movie
happen.
throws that out of the window. Like,
Oh,
literally.
you're right.
The end of the
Yeah.
movie throws that out of the window anyways. So, but okay, well, I'm not even gotten there yet. We're talking about just the logic of how the fucking wishes work. I'm just talking about that. The rock itself. Like, the rock was the thing. It just was there, and then when he wishes, she makes her wish. She becomes, I guess, essentially Wonder Woman in terms of powers. And then fucking Max Lord, when he says, "I want to become the Rock," it disappears, like it dissolves and leaves like a remnant of it, like this weird ring that was holding it. So then later
Wait,
in
does
the
he
movie,
actually say, "I want to become the Rock"?
yes,
Yeah.
Why
wants
didn't he
to-
just
it's-
become the
no.
Rock
He
then?
says
Like,
not the
literally
Rock.
become
He
the
says
Rock.
I want to
He
become
says,
you.
I want to become Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Yeah.
No, I don't mean that. I mean literally.
I'll
the
be-
Rock.
I'll be right
Why
back.
Didn't he become like the Stone? Like it's a
Exactly.
Brenda, go ahead and explain. You go on. I'll be back.
What?
You
No.
should definitely explain it because I'm just gonna make jokes about Dwayne the Rock Johnson from now on.
So basically, when he makes that wish, the stone dissolves, and I guess he absorbs the stone, but he's still in human form, which doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hey, I guess when the God of Lies put all that whatever power into that rock, I guess it had the power to put it on any object
Yeah.
that they wanted. And so he stays in human form, and because he knows the logistics of the rock, which were never really explained, which is kind of that's why it's so confusing. He starts, of course, granting the wishes, and in exchange, he's taking down everybody with power, like all the oil refineries where he wanted oil to strike are now striking oil, and he starts becoming rich. Like his business starts moving up, but his health is declining because the wishes are taking away his health.
Yeah, see, that was what was
And
unclear to me. Like, did he just have to keep granting wishes in order for him to, stay
yeah,
healthy? Okay,
but the
okay.
thing is that if that's the case, that he's granting wishes all the time and taking away the people's health, which is what he did towards the end, that he basically went live on TV as a presidential, I guess, like, when they do those, this is the president speaking, whatever, that it broadcasts live on the TVs, right?
Okay, I'm back.
And that was the dumbest thing, the whole broadcast and touching thing. Like, that was so.
Oh, that was
the biggest
please.
stretch.
Please.
Go
He
ahead
said
and explain
it's a figure of speech. He fucking said it's as if the radio waves are touching people. I'm like,
touching everybody.
The fuck is
I'm
this
like,
shit?
oh,
The
God.
logic. Okay, so none of the logic issue is that he has to touch the person while they're gonna make the wish. So what
You
he
have
does
to make contact with the person. Yeah.
Yes, contact with the people. Contact, and apparently in this fucking movie, contact means also radio waves, like the volume of your voice. So that means
doesn't make sense.
you don't need to touch them then. Oh,
Right,
anyways,
I know,
whatever.
right? You could just yell at the rock.
Faith
Like,
healing
hey.
session?
This is fucking ridiculous. It just it just like the logic kept on just going off into further and further space. Just like
So going back into him granting the wishes,
Yeah,
so
go for it.
before he goes to that area where he's gonna broadcast live to everybody in the world, right? He's on the helicopter with Dr. Minerva, and he's asking like, "So, I feel generous today. What else do you want to do or whatever?"
that means he has a choice to give more than one wish. I don't understand what.
Exactly.
Okay, whatever.
That's what doesn't make sense, because I thought it's only one wish and one wish only. You can't wish again.
Yeah.
So it pans to him saying that to Dr. Minerva, and then eventually they make it to the location.
She makes her little quip about I want to be an apex predator, and yeah.
Something like that, right? So that's very confusing, and a lot of people are not going to understand, especially if they have not read the comics. And that's because a lot of people that are seeing this movie have probably not read the comics at all.
Yeah.
Probably a big majority of it.
Most of them, yeah.
Right, most of them. That's what happens. Like, oh, I've seen the movies, but I haven't read the books, or I haven't did. Like, then you don't know. So he's doing the broadcast in that area. Dr. Minerva disappears somewhere. I don't know what the fuck she goes. And Wonder Woman shows up and basically, she starts fighting the soldiers that are outside. And she subdues all the soldiers and all that stuff. And then out of the fucking shadows, Dr. Minerva shows up, but she's transformed into Cheetah. Literally transformed. And we're like,
well, we don't see the transformation. She just is.
We don't see that transformation, but she just shows up.
She just shows up as the form of what we know from the comics. Which is confusing also because in the comics, like, her story is
in the comics.
No one's gonna.
What I read a little bit on the 52s and the Rebirth.
She has a statue of a fucking cheetah in her house. That's the only indication we get why she turns into a cheetah. Like that, it literally does not pan out in terms of like context of like why is she a cheetah? Did I miss the scene? It was just like a 2-second thing of a huge fucking statue of a fucking cheetah, and it's just like in the original comics she's just it's a curse. Like she went to go.
That's what I was gonna explain.
Yeah.
So in the comics in the 52s, what I was reading is that the reason why Dr. Minerva gets cursed and because of cheetah is because she goes looking for Themyscira and she gets tricked and she gets cursed.
Yeah.
And then eventually she seeks the help of Wonder Woman because, of course, her and Wonder Woman were friends. And Wonder Woman's like, well, the only place we could probably cure you is if we go to Themyscira. But, of course, Wonder Woman can't find Themyscira at all, neither. She can never go back. and eventually, Cheetah holds that remorse against her because she can't help her at all, so she's stuck.
Right.
She's literally
right.
stuck as a cheetah.
Hmm.
And that's how it is so far that I know in the comics in the 52s.
Right.
But here in this one, it's basically she was granted basically the wish.
Right. So
Assuming she got a second wish.
Basically, yeah, like assuming
Yeah.
the second wish like worked that way. Like first of all, I think
That's what I was saying,
the-
assuming.
Yeah, like I'm assuming that is the case because guess what? Like when the movie ends, she goes back from being cheetah fucking woman to
Cheetah-licious.
the Cheeto man.
She was one of the cheetah girls.
Cheetah-licious.
Okay.
But yeah, she goes back to being human, so it's definitely the wish, right? So that means she got a second wish, right? And then that also means that he could have granted more than one wish to so many different people, right? So then why does he concern himself with each person having one wish, and why does he need to then meet different people to do wishes when he could just farm the one person for as many wishes until they're dead, I guess? Which is unexplained. But now the other logic would be that, she got a second wish because the form of the wish giver has changed from a rock to a person. That's my only, like, if I was the writer and I had to make something up, that's the only thing I can think of that can make sense. See, that's the only thing. But
the thing is that, like, besides, like, all these plot holes and stuff, the thing is that it's just confusing for the audience.
Yes.
You can forgive a lot of, like, you can forgive just basing your all your lore and stuff in like the thinnest of logic, faith, leaps of faith. But the fact that it's so confusing for the audience at every step of the way is, with well, it just brings down so much of the movie. Like, for example, I'm sure you guys already talked about, when her boyfriend comes back.
no, we haven't.
Oh
No,
my
we
God.
haven't touched that yet.
Yeah, that's
to
got to be
that.
part of
It's-
that's part of the confusion of the logic of how the wish works. We haven't gotten there yet because we need to explain Minerva, which then now leads us, which is perfect that you say that, and leads to us with like the implication of like how she's connected to Wonder Woman. Only the fact that she wants to be like Diana, discovers that she has all these powers, but she doesn't know that she's a fucking from Themyscira. There's no sit down. They don't talk about it. She doesn't realize it. She doesn't know that she's yeah. So whatever. Anyways, so then we have the wish that she wanted is to obviously get what's his name back.
Steve Trevor.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
So
I was gonna say Steve Rogers, man, whatever. same thing.
Steve Rogers. So yeah, he shows up because he just shows up, right? Because that's the wish that she wanted, and it turns out that he's actually taken somebody's body. So now that person, for all intents and purposes, is in a coma, I guess you could say, because he's occupying his body, like literally. And then the logic is that she only sees Trevor, but in reality, she's walking around with this random dude. And that is physically emoting everything that Trevor's doing.
Right.
So he's essentially a spirit that possesses a body. And that's, I guess, the logic that we're going with, that there's two negatives here, that her wish had basically taken somebody's life in a sense. The person's still alive, but he's no longer himself, right? So he's and then what the confusion was, like midway through the movie, is that we were still trying to figure out what's the thing that the wish took away from her. Was it her powers? Because her powers were starting to disappear, and we thought that Minerva.
Maybe, honestly,
Minerva.
Minerva
Just say
is
Barbara.
actually very.
Barbara, yeah.
Minerva.
Took her, like, because she took her powers, like she literally took her powers. That's what we were thinking.
We thought that Barbara was siphoning Wonder Woman's
that's
power.
what we thought, but it turns out the negative effect to the wish was that she has to give up her powers for Trevor to be there.
Do they ever say that, or is that something that they just
Nope.
kind of
Nope, they
It's
don't
something
say
that
that.
just
They
kind
don't
of
say
figured,
it, but they
right?
imply it in the sense that she, like when they have the moment when she's fighting, Minerva, like they're basically in a clash of like, how do I explain this? So
You mean
Diana,
her and
so
Diana
Diana,
and
so Wonder
and,
Woman is trying to do the right thing, certainly, but she's not willing to give up Trevor. That's the contradiction. And the contradiction to the villain that is saying, hey, you're not giving up what you have, right, to do the right thing. So why should I give up what I have to do the right thing, right? Like,
Sure.
you've been living your life with all these advantages. I haven't. So the one time that I get granted this wish, why should I give it up? You know, like, you're still not giving up. So that's the logic behind the clash between the two characters. Which
she's
then,
basically Electro from Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man
yeah,
2.
they
What an amazing
literally, yeah,
character.
they did a classic transition, that classic mistake where you take the comic book and
Glad
you,
he's coming back.
yeah, like that kind of like really archaic way of converting
Just
the
a
comic to
very
the
one-dimensional
exactly, yeah,
argument.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much that, and then that argument was then like, she was just like having that debate with Trevor, and Trevor's just basically saying, that you're the only one that's capable of saving the world. You have to give me up, like, you have to. And then once she does, yeah, she gets her powers back. So what do you know? So
See,
yeah,
I
and
think it-
that's
I think it's
confusing,
different.
right? Like, that's
I-
really
and see-
confusing with the wishes, right?
And see, I think it's different because I think that's not exactly what happens. I think that, she starts getting her powers back because Minerva makes the second wish to, she says that she doesn't want to be like Diana anymore. She wants to be an apex predator. I think that's when she
Exactly.
gets her.
That's
No,
why it's
no, 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 no.
confusing.
That's
why
why.
it's confusing.
It
Yeah.
happens immediately once she says, "I denounce my wish."
Yes, that's
And
another
once she
confusing
says
thing.
that, you see
She
the
suddenly has
bloodstains
powers.
disappear.
Yes,
You see her injuries disappear.
exact.
So
yes.
Oh yeah, I did
Yeah.
not notice.
See,
that.
that's the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
That's why, like, me and Brenda were talking about this. This
It's
is
such
really
a
fucking.
Deus Ex Machina, though, where she
It's
can
such
just
a
say,
Deus Ex
"Oh,
Machina.
I don't want it anymore," and then she just gets all of her bloodies. Like, it's just that easy. Like,
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait until we get to the point, where the entire
there's
thing is
more,
resolved.
God.
It's amazing. It's just like a clusterfuck of just amazing bad ideas.
Yeah.
I love it. It's like, it's our 2020's Avatar.
2020's Avatar.
Hey, by Avatar, I mean the Avatar, the last Airbender, not the blue cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not the blue people.
Not the blue people.
Not the the what was it? Smurfs having sex.
you mean M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Mayalala?
Shamalala. Shamanamana. Shahamana hamana.
Yeah. It's I mean, like, there are some scenes in the movie that are okay. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
but then I'm just like, it's not enough to keep the movie. Like,
Yeah. It's one of those.
You
It's one
know.
of those, like, you just gotta. You're just like, I'm in it for the ride, not for like the. It's
Don't
like,
think about it.
yeah, don't
turn
think
off
about
your
it.
brain.
Yeah, turn off your brain. Yeah, definitely, 100% turn off your brain. Because like, after the movie, we were thinking about more and more and more, and it just like got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
and the thing is that the movie started off cheesy, right?
Right. So
Like,
we
like,
felt
you
like
know,
that
like-
we were in for that, because it was that 19. It was like, just like, this 80s.
Hell,
Like,
I'd
things
rather
are
it
kind of
be
ridiculous.
cheesy and have a good plot line and have
Sure.
a good storyline
Right.
than like start cheesy and then it just turns horrible.
I mean, the first
Right,
one's pretty
right.
cheesy too, but it's like a solid movie.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have the issues when it comes to, like, where they try to patch up illogical things for things to exist. Does that make sense? So if this scene exists, we want it to exist. So fuck the logic. We'll just patch it with some sort of like some stupid stupid description of the overall logic of why this works. Just to, you know, and even the okay. So Patty Jenkins, she's great and everything, but she says, just don't think about it. Like
Just don't think about it.
she actually responds about like, look, you know, it's a movie. You're gonna watch it for like just the fun of it, and it's like don't like these things here is not like, you know, so intensely important for the character for you to know.
Did they bring back all the gratuitous slow motion in the fight scenes?
Actually, I didn't really notice. Brenda,
Yeah.
is it?
It's there.
I don't.
I mean,
Somewhat.
sort of. I
Is
would
it?
say that.
I
would.
for
I
me,
think that's the problem. That the action scenes are so unremarkably boring, and
Oh,
that you just don't remember them. They're just completely unmemorable.
interesting.
it doesn't
'Cause
have.
I-
I don't
that's
remember seeing
interesting.
slow mo. I just see that everybody defies gravity in a really fucking weird way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
like
'cause I just remember in the first
That's
one,
what I
like,
remember.
the fight scenes were really cool, but I mean, I remember just being like, man, this would be a lot better if they just did this in real time. Like, it'd be way cooler if she was like doing all this shit in real time instead of just like slow motion every 2 seconds.
mm,
That's interesting that it's just boils
I mean,
down
like
to it being
I understand your
unremarkable.
point because I wish like instead of doing it in slow motion, I wish it was like her just going super fast, so then you could see how fast she
Like,
actually
maybe
is.
the
It'd be
intensity,
like
yeah.
John Wick, but Wonder Woman. Like, she's going fast and she's doing all these complex shit. Like, that would be so much cooler to watch. Like, I
or
understand
maybe
they wanted
like
to,
a la
choreograph
Man
it.
of Steel, where like the fight between those two soldiers or something like that. Like the fact that they moved so insanely fast, it almost looked like they teleported. And they're like smashing into buildings and stuff like
Right,
that.
You see, I'd rather
Yeah.
watch something like that instead of be like, okay, it's going slow. Okay,
Right.
she's dodging the bullet.
Or blocking
All
the
right.
bullet, yeah.
You know, okay.
I mean,
it's
I
just
do
too
remember the
slow.
slow
I'd
mo's
rather
in
it
the
go fast.
car fight scene, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like the fight scenes that should have been like the best was like the one with Cheetah, but I actually kind of
I
I mean,
forgot
like the only
how
way
that went.
I think one of the scenes where you see her going actual fast is when she actually regains her powers again, when she renounces her wish,
Ah,
and then she's actually using the lasso to hook to one of the buildings, and she's running,
right.
and you're seeing how fast she's running.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I would like that better instead of showing something like in slow motion,
Yeah.
because then you see how fast she is. You
Right.
see how quick her reflexes are.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like, oh, it's slow. We know she's gonna dodge it.
Yeah.
You know,
we're
it's
not-
like it's
Right.
just
Yeah, you're not seeing
so-
it slow so she can get hit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'd rather see it that way.
Right. For sure.
It's like with Flash, like in the Justice League. We know he's fast. Why do we
Right.
have to show everything in slow motion?
Yeah.
You know, for him, like we know he's fast. I want to see how fast he is.
Right.
They're not really showing that, and that's how I feel about Wonder Woman. That I
Alright, I'll
want
be
to see
right
like
back.
what she's capable of doing, not just being super slow at everything. Like, yes, we know she's gonna dodge that bullet. Yes, we know she's gonna use the lasso for that. But it's basically her reflexes and how fast.
Right.
And that's what that's what these movies sometimes are lacking, because I know you want to get an effect of showing everything in slow motion, but we know it's what's gonna happen. You know, it's like show it in regular fast motion. You know, it's like, you know, let her be a blur and be like, wow, she's super fast. She was like here and there in like 0.5 seconds or something like that.
Right.
You know? And that's I think that's I would, you know, I wish they had more in movies. And I heard supposedly that they're in the works of doing a Flash movie, which I know is gonna
Yeah.
be stuck with so much fucking slow motion shit. I'm like, I don't need no slow motion. It's like he's a speedster, right? Like I want to see how fast he is.
Right.
So it's just I don't know, it's a lot of stuff in that Wonder Woman second one that I'm just like,
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious to me that for example, her, fight with Minerva, had to be there because they just couldn't figure out, any other, interesting action scenes. Like they really wanted to have that, final fight against an opponent that could give her a run for her money. But other than that, like there were no scenes where it felt like her skills and her and her actions were uh, were so crucial in
I think, but I think in the comics though, Cheetah's skills is almost on par with Wonder Woman. I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the comics.
She's like pretty much as strong and as fast as.
She's almost as strong as fast as her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think another thing about this second Wonder Woman that I was like, what the fuck? It's the invisible jet.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they brought that in, huh?
Yeah, they brought that in.
Sort of. In the sense that
First of all, how the hell is Steve Trevor gonna fly a plane that it's like a jet? It's a fucking jet.
It's exactly
The
the same
most
thing.
he's
What are you
flown is
talking
like.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
flying
like
a jet is not the same as flying like a freight airplane or something that he was
Yeah.
flying in World War II. Right.
So that's I was like, what the fuck?
about? Right.
And the thing is that I would understand too if Wonder Woman would have learned how to pilot, at least to
Right.
fly, knowing she had all this time to do
That's
this,
true. Yeah.
all this time, and she wanted to feel
True.
closer to Steve. Why didn't she learn how to fly, even if it's like a jet or a plane?
That's a good plot point, actually. That would have been really good. It's exactly the way you describe it, too. That, like, she does it to feel close to him. Like, that's the only way she can do it. Yeah, that would make sense.
And this is gonna lead up to something else too in the movie. So going back to them, fucking Steve knowing how to fly the jet. All of a sudden, she's trying to make the jet invisible. They don't. She doesn't. She explains super quick, but not logistically, because we know she's part god, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the demigod. Yeah.
The demigod, right? And she's like, well, they had to hide the mascara, so I know there's a way that they did it. And I did it once with a coffee cup, and I lost a coffee cup. I'm like,
What?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
was like-
what she does, she waves her hands like doing a Rasengan in Naruto, being all like, let's try something new. Let's try it now
Yeah.
while we're about to go and fucking die. And then she some like weird wavy stuff shows up in her hand. She then knows to do that with her hands and knows to then wave her hands to make it all like explode, I guess, and then wrap around the goddamn airplane, thus making it invisible. Yay!
I guess to
Character
Which,
every
mind you, throughout the whole movie, after when they like leave from the jet or whatever, they never go back to the jet, so they never found the jet. And I don't remember where they left
Dude,
it.
I would love that being the case. Dude, I would rather, please,
Dude, I
like, if
fucking
you're
see a
gonna
bird
make
fly
it
into a cup.
cheesy, if you're gonna make it cheesy, make fun of the fact that the comics doesn't make sense with her having a fucking, like, invisible jet. Like, because the contradiction of, like, then why do you fly?
Right.
Why do you fly if you still have an invisible jet? Like, where does that matter? Whatever. Like, and then on top of that, how do you find it? Like, I would love to have a scene like that. 2.5 hours of this movie, and I don't get a scene of them with poking
Losing
a joke.
the jet. Be like, what did we do?
That
Where did
would
we
be
leave
fucking
it?
hilarious. While we were like there in that scene, I was like, well, what happens if they run into a flock of birds? Like, do they know? Like, I want these kind of goofy things to happen because, like, I was pretty much like an hour in, I was thinking that this is going to be a goofy movie, throw logic out the window.
Right.
But it ain't entertaining. That's the problem. I'm not being entertained.
So going back to where they're flying finally the jet, right? Wonder Woman's like, oh, I never understood how you can fly and all that stuff, or pilot, whatever. And Steve goes like this whole, you have to feel the wind and the speed and everything, whatever.
Yeah, he
And
he,
so,
he like she was amazed of his ability to fly
like,
a
I
plane.
never understood flight.
Right,
I'm like-
and then he was just
So
trying
I'm
to
saying,
just.
like, bitch, you had all this
Yeah.
time to learn it. You know?
I know, yeah, yeah. This like you spent
You have
80
all
years
these
of your life and you
freaking-
didn't bother trying to learn. Anyways, but I'm
Yeah,
just
exactly.
he,
So
he,
going-
he was
so-
he was basically saying, you know, flying is as simple as what was it, air, wind, or
Just feeling the wind. Feeling the wind.
like it's just like the same as just feeling the wind, you know, like something like that. Something,
And then
you know,
eventually that leads to her
learning a new ability.
learning to fly on her own,
Yeah, that's great.
which was very like.
So important character development that makes no sense.
I was like, oh no, like why you have to do this now? You know, it's like, and she's like, oh, and it the same words that Steve
not-
Trevor says
it's
are
not-
being repeated on the scene while she's learning how to fly, and I'm just like,
it's not that so
Oh
much.
my
It's not
God.
so much that it's happening. It's the fact that the way it's happening is kind of like
Mhm.
I don't understand how she got to this point. Like just because he says that doesn't mean just suddenly you can.
like wow, that's
I
all
can
I need to know to
believe-
learn how to fly.
know, that's
Thank you.
it.
I just gotta feel the wind.
What?
That's like anybody could tell her that.
Yeah, like
No,
like,
it had to be
like,
Steve
we
Trevor
get-
say it.
The whole thing too had we started the movie with a flashback of her learning a lesson about what it means to not take shortcuts. Then why don't we get more of the background of maybe did she never try to fly and use invisible abilities in the entire time that she was there?
By the way,
Themyscira?
how did that ever, how did that come back? Like, how did that theme of like, not taking shortcuts ever,
Oh,
have any,
so
anything
that's
to do
a
with
It
that's
sounds like she
it's
took
a really
shortcuts the
bad
whole movie.
Yeah, it's a really
I
bad.
know, exactly.
It's a really bad. Yeah, that's the thing. The whole thing came back in the sense that she has paid the price for taking shortcuts. That she's
By then taking another shortcut
Uh-huh.
and getting your abilities back.
yeah
Mm-hmm.
by revoking her wish because she
Yeah.
didn't earn like her love like or she didn't get Trevor back basically, so she just wished him back. And that was the thing, and that the story was that Minerva wanted to get her powers in the way that she just gets it without actually earning it. But again, I'm not saying I'm justifying what they're saying here. I'm saying that they literally put the plot at the beginning of the movie, therefore no surprise at the end, which was like ridiculous because the entire journey it should have been explaining why she went through the effort of learning her new abilities, but she doesn't. She just kind of like blindly does it, and it just
Like,
happens.
oh look, I can fly. You know, it doesn't
Yeah,
show her like some flashback of her trying
like a
to
couple
learn
times,
it, like fail
right? So,
or
yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
some moments of her failing to try and earn to be able to do it. Like she just does it. That's the part where it's just kind of like,
Like,
what?
thanks, Steve. All I need to know is feel air. That's all I need to know. That's basically what it is. And I'm just like,
Thank you, Steve. I needed a man to show me how
you
to
see,
fly.
it would be a more,
Uh-huh.
I guess, memorable. It would be a more memorable scene if you saw some kind of flashback or something, and her trying to learn or her
like
learning
that she
how to
had some trial
pilot.
and error
She
beforehand.
had exactly, but hers like, oh, all I need to do is feel the wind. Okay, let me close my eyes. Let me feel it, and then she starts kind of slowly learning how to fly. I'm like,
Yeah.
bitch, please. Like, why couldn't they do something else? It's like,
Yeah,
it's
any
just,
other way.
I did not like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her, of course, turning the whole jet invisible.
Oh,
It's
by
like,
the way, she
it
never
just-
flies in ever after that. By the way, based on the timeline, 1984 is the only time she ever flies. Batman versus Batman, she just jumps. In fucking Justice League, we have a fucking scene where she's falling to catch her sword, and needs Flash to oh ding here I'm gonna
to push her.
to push
Yeah,
the
exactly.
sword toward you. It was like, wait a minute, but in 1984 she knows how to fly. Why is she doing it right now?
She forgot.
Clearly.
And that's the thing I don't like, because in all the animations and all that stuff, you see her flying. She
Yeah.
flies,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, such a headache.
Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, it's like they basically, again, they were like, let's just put these cool scenes, just slap it in there, and then just have a really simple way of explaining why it exists.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny.
And then I think it was funny too, like fucking Maxwell Lord or whatever. You know,
Oh,
it's like
spoiler! No one
what-
dies. All the
So-
villains are still
so at the-
alive.
so when he's going, I guess, in this stupid light or whatever, and she's like, "Yes, I want all your health or whatever." He's like doing some kind of like
Yeah, so
I don't know
his
what the hell he's
trade.
doing.
So basically, the trade-off is that because he's the one that gives wishes, he's slowly
he's getting
losing
everybody's
his health. No, 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 no,
yeah,
no.
and
No,
No,
in
no,
the first
yeah,
place,
he's slowly
his
losing
negative,
it.
he's losing his health. But then
So-
in order to counter that, he gives up people wishes and takes their health.
Their
Because he
health.
starts bleeding and his like brain he's starting to like get headaches and stuff like that
Cough and,
for
like,
every
yeah.
wish that he's granting to get something from them. Then now he's trying to get other people to wish and then take their health away from them.
I mean, is it really their health? I never really saw that. I mean, I saw the consequences of their wishes, like, you know,
Yes, the
the
consequence.
Saudi prince that loses, you know, his actual, you know, rise to be a Saudi prince.
No, he
you know,
literally
the-
says that on the movie in the movie at the very end when he's on that little radio thing. He's like, "I'm gonna I grant your wish. I'm gonna take your tenacity, and I'm gonna take your life." He literally says life force. So it's like an even more generic way of saying he's taking somebody's life. Like
Right.
and then he starts getting less of a headache. He doesn't
See,
have
this
that
is the
weird
thing that-
veiny thing that pops up on his head. His eyes ain't bleeding out of his fucking skull.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's what he does so that he can quote unquote live forever.
I mean, see, that's the thing. I don't feel like I ever saw that. Like, I saw the consequences of the wishes because he's like, you can, you know, he does grant wishes, but he sets the terms and conditions. So okay, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That I can, that's a kind of a clever way to
Yeah,
use
That's
that.
one person at a
type of-
time, right? Like
Yeah,
we keep
but I
on
never
getting
really
scenes for that,
Yeah.
but then when he does the movie, like the massive world epidemic situation of literally millions of people are having their wishes granted. I don't think you even. I mean, logistically, I don't even think you have like. Well, we're gonna get like several scenes of people going like dying. I mean,
Well,
we were getting
yeah, I mean,
like.
but that's
well,
the
we
thing,
were
like,
getting that.
I
We
never
were
really
getting
got
that though. Like like literally, we're getting scenes of literal pure chaos. Somebody literally drops dead.
like, "I wish you were dead," and she's like,
Right.
Yeah.
heart
That's
attack.
exactly it.
you
And
know?
just because that person was wished to be dead. It wasn't because their life was drained.
Yeah,
it was
I
because
know.
they
I'm
were
not
getting
talking
a
about that
random
one
heart attack
specifically.
on
I'm talking
know,
about the
deathbed.
rest of the scenes where it's just pure
Mhm.
chaos. Like
Yeah.
at that point, the movie has already explained that he does take something away. Why do we need further scenes to explain something that we already know that happens? So all they do
And
is
I think
just
with
do
her, like,
a massive
using the
amount of.
lasso, like grabbing onto his foot and then projecting, I guess, everything, all the
Oh, right.
consequences back to the audience, I guess, or to the people around the world. All you see is all this yellow screen. I'm like, okay,
Right.
what
so
am I seeing in
there's
this yellow screen?
so that in the movie it explains that using the lasso to because people get like gains the truth, like they talk their truth, they can't lie, like that's the power of the lasso. But she also
You could-
explains when she used it on Trevor that he
You could
not
see.
only is speaking it, but he's gaining visions of the truth. So then that happens in the end of the movie where she's using the lasso. Not saying that this makes complete sense, that somehow the machinery that casts both his voice and the visual of the video to around the world also shows the truth to everybody, which is also ridiculous because it's supposed to
Yeah,
touch,
that's what I was like.
What-
it's supposed
what
to
do you
touch
mean?
people.
What do you mean it shows the truth that they're? What truth are they seeing? I don't understand.
About the truth about how the
The
trick,
consequences, basically.
the trick behind the rock.
Mhm.
The
And
trick
that
behind
stops them.
it makes
there's an
it
earlier
convinces it quote unquote convinces them to give up their wish in masses.
It's basically a way for her to talk to everybody by touching Pedro Pascal, and because Pedro Pascal is quote unquote touching everybody through the radio waves. So
Yeah.
through the thinnest thinnest of logics.
Yes.
They're basically saying that they're basically explaining that Diana is touching everybody with the lasso, because earlier on a
I
previous
see.
scene, um, Chris Pine's characters is shown things that happen in history, with the lasso, and it's explained that the lasso cannot just it doesn't just reveal the truth, it can also plant the truth inside your head, so the
What?
you can basically download information into a person's head with a lasso.
So you can use Inception on people with the fucking lasso.
The
You
concept
can
is
just
that
put an idea
they're
in their
putting-
head.
To show the
That-
truth and the consequences,
it's
basically.
it's visually showing the truth within your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wouldn't
It's
it be
not-
awesome if
it's
it was
not-
And basically, and
I
that's
don't-
how it stops
I'm not
Maxwell Lord.
I would have to rewatch it again I don't know about the whole Inception part. I'm pretty sure it's just the truth as
Because-
is.
Then eventually he's thinking about his kid, and he's seeing his kid,
Right.
like wandering
happening.
around, calling,
Yeah.
what's happening.
Because
He's like,
everything is
"Oh."
turning to chaos because people are granted their wishes, and it's causing all this, insane effects, and
right.
and the poor kid is stuck in a situation where he could die because
Mhm.
the
I mean, the
fuck-
whole world is going to shit. Like, there's
yeah.
nuclear weapons just being
Launched
shot,
everywhere.
launched,
Yeah.
At the same
everywhere.
time.
And then people that are wishing I had a nuke, they're like literally getting a nuke.
Yeah.
So it's like
And it's like, okay, after he saw that vision of his kid, he's like, I renounce my wish, and he just runs off.
yeah, because they
It's-
And I'm like,
Yeah, and so pretty much
Everybody
every-
pronounces their wish, though. The whole world.
Yeah.
like,
The
all at
whole
once.
world.
So, here's my
Yeah.
question, though. Here's my question, though.
I would still want to do this. Like,
Yeah,
still
I
wanna
wish
keep
so.
going.
I wish there was someone like that. That would have been great. He's all like, "Oh no, I want the chaos happening. I want."
I mean,
to
there'd be a
happen."
lot of people like that.
Yeah,
It's not
certainly.
like everybody's just
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Like I'm done." Like it's just like they wished it for a reason.
I know.
I mean,
right?
what about that? Yeah, what about the guy who's like, but I have a 13-inch penis? Do I really have to give it up?
Do I
it goes
really
back
have to
to a
give it
micro
up?
penis.
Oh,
That you know what? What
he hops in his Hummer and
like-
drives away.
I'm assuming that there, like that's the part. That's another part about this thing. Like
No,
the whole yellow vision, whatever the truth lasso, blah blah blah. I'm assuming that they're seeing the consequences to their what their wish is doing, and that's why they're renouncing it, and it's catering to the
Why
good
didn't
side
you
of
just
people's
use
heart.
the lasso on
don't
fucking
understand.
Batman and Batman versus Superman?
Yeah, right. There's a lot of problems
Make it-
here.
Because plot.
Instead
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara.
It's like
You
great.
know-
How do you know Barbara?
Yeah, it's,
Uh,
it's like where were you there when where were you then for this fucking debacle?
If you
So
ever seen
ridiculous.
Chris Stockman, the guy who does reviews on YouTube, he mentioned that that's exactly the plot that's exactly the plot point in Majin Buu's Dragon Ball Z, where Mr. Satan talks to the entire world to create the Henki
Right.
Dama. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And exactly it right here.
Yeah.
And you know what my question is? Like, if he denounces the wish, what happens to basically, I guess, the particles or whatever that became the rock?
Oh yeah, right. So
Like the
does the
actual
rock
wishing rock.
Right.
like
Right.
Goes
come
back to its
being-
original form?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You
Was
know?
thinking too,
Right.
but
Or does the power from
But
that
it
rock
never
goes
shows
back
that.
to the god? Yeah, it never shows that.
it
Does
legitimately
it go back
never
to the
shows.
god, and then the god creates something else to make it again? It's like,
I would
I don't
have.
know.
I would have been like, okay, I would have been fine if he renounced the wish, then it reverts time and we just go back to like before it all happened, and the only people that remember is, I don't know, the people in the same room. Why not? Sure, I guess.
It would have been interesting if after becoming the stone that grants wishes, like since it was the god who created the stone, they would have made it so that the god was inside the stone, so he actually took possession of
Yeah, that would have even
Yeah.
made more sense too. I would have loved that. Please, Carlos, just go write the next one.
That's the thing, like this movie just needed a good a couple of rewrites.
Just like a little,
Mhm.
and it's not even a lot. Just a little bit of a tweak, just a little
Yeah,
tiny,
yeah.
a little.
And like I said before, this movie should have been split in two.
I
Or
don't
like
know.
just focus on one thing.
Yeah, it could have been split in two in the sense that they could have cut out a lot of the nonsense that we didn't actually needed. Like her
Like
turning.
Yeah.
Minerva. Just cut out Minerva completely.
Yeah, you didn't need Minerva at all.
At
Like
all.
it didn't attach to the character in a way where it was important.
She's like the third wheel on a date, and she's like, "So I'm just here."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's
Hey,
there.
guys,
She's
I brought
there to
popcorn.
be the physical opposition.
She's
Sure.
just fan service for like everybody who
Yeah.
knows that like Cheetah is like Wonder Woman's
Yeah.
like most iconic
100%.
villain.
And I would have liked the sizzle on the back, maybe on that. Maybe she at the very end was like, "Oh, I now know the truth behind Diana. I'm gonna go find that island."
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
she
yeah.
never explains that. Like, she just thinks that Diana is born with this power. She doesn't know her history. There's no point in the movie, in the 2 hours and 30 minutes of watching this movie, she never figures it out. Like, I would have liked it if we had some scenes where she eventually connected the dots, right?
Especially
know?
because Diana doesn't really look that much
She
more
doesn't.
different
Yes.
at all. Like she doesn't even wear anything on her face to hide
Mhm.
her face. She,
Yeah.
she
She's not
goes
even
from looking
hiding.
like the, yeah, right. Like I mean, she goes from looking like literally the most beautiful woman in the world. Like she has officially been in real life the most, officially the most beautiful woman in the world, to just being the most beautiful woman in the world, but with less clothes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then and like it's like we didn't get any sort of scene of like oh she went to go stop the thievery happening in the mall, and she breaks the camera, but the camera doesn't breaking the camera after the fact doesn't stop the recording. You fool.
And it's funny because they're like, "Oh, there have been multiple sightings and blah 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 of a woman." I'm like, why can't you describe the woman?
Yeah.
Like a woman with long hair wearing
Which by
this,
the way, random people call her Wonder Woman. Why? What? Like, she has a title now? Like, how is this? How
And
did you guys come to the
annoying
logic?
if she's been cited all this time, well, in an announcement, why didn't it say it looks like our Wonder Woman has appeared again? This mystery Wonder Woman. It's like they could have said
No
something
wonder.
like that with all these
I wonder who
all these multiple
she
sightings.
is.
They just say, "Oh, this woman just randomly shows up,"
Yeah.
or like this woman dubbed Wonder Woman has showed up again to foil this robbery.
The cameras has recording.
You
like
know?
Right.
we get a moment of her breaking the cameras, but it's after the fact. After
She lands.
after she no like
know?
not no after the fight, like it just happened already. Like
Right,
what
right.
what the fuck? It wasn't what like
I don't
okay
know.
wait when she landed she threw it like her the little
Yeah,
crest.
she threw her tiara. Yeah.
Oh, so I thought I thought it was like after the fight
No.
had happened. So it was during the fight. Okay,
It was
whatever.
Like,
It still
it
sees
was
her.
like right at the beginning.
It still sees her. Like
Yeah, exactly.
why can't we have like Minerva maybe stumbles upon these like sightings of this? It's like, oh man, wait, I met this person, and then oh wait, isn't that Diana?
You know what they
And
should have
then-
done? You know, like how they always have the TVs, like advertising, like how they used to have a whole bunch of TVs, like on the windows, the display windows. Why couldn't they show like someone doing a newscast and showing like, let's say like what is it, a screen grab of her?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
very
yeah.
blurry or
That's what I'm
something. Like,
saying.
who is this mystery Wonder Woman?
And then and then Minerva would be able to get all the story, connect the dots because she apparently in the movie she's like, oh yeah, I got a degree in anthropology and in blah 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 and another
She's got a
degree.
degree in everything. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why she's
okay,
a
like
nerd who deserves to be a loser.
Yeah, apparently this movie, like she's like, oh, she's a mad genius, but never shows that she's a genius.
Never connects the dots. Like,
Yeah,
oh, could
she
it
could have-
be
she
that
could have,
this
like,
maybe from the
whoa.
myth?
Yeah, she could have
Could it,
hung out with
you know-
Diana just like for a moment. It's like, oh wow, you have this really nice jewelry that is an antique that shouldn't be ever here. Like this is something that doesn't exist no more or something. Or she comes into her apartment and she sees some things that are kind of suspicious, and then she connects the whole thing, and that's why she now has after the end of the movie should have the objective to go find the mascara. Like, that would make sense. That would be great. If you wanted to be a fan service, you could have went that route, but we don't. We just get a one-dimensional character. Yeah.
She just renounces her, like, basically renounces her wish. She's just there, looking into the sunset, not saying anything.
Why did she renounce her wish? I still don't understand that too. It's just
I don't
fucking
understand
stupid,
either.
man.
Who?
It's so
Oh yeah,
stupid.
Minerva pronounced her wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, is that some bullshit, dude? Like,
She had hair
she's
and
the
boobs at the end.
fucking.
That's, why would she keep?
I'm pretty sure that what they're trying to do is set the third movie of probably her going to go look for Themyscira.
Yeah. Well, why don't we? And we
But
did.
why doesn't
we
it
look,
get explained?
Yeah.
Or like, hey, like, oh, like, you know, why doesn't it maybe like show a flashback of like you said,
Yeah.
like her going into Diana's apartment or something, like when they were hanging out, be like, oh, so when did you get this? Oh, it was inherited by my family, passed down or whatever. And you know, then eventually Minerva gets a clue or something and starts looking through the history books or something.
Exactly like that.
You know,
Or
like that would lead up for a third movie. But
or the
they
fact that
didn't do
maybe
that.
she has already been studying her like Themyscira prior to the movie even started, and then we get this idea that
Like
she
she
has an
knows
obsession.
some kind of myth or something about an island
Right.
that exists but
Like
is never
she's-
found, and
I would have been.
of
It would have been great.
Amazonians.
She's like a woman, like a Indiana Jones woman but a villain version of it. Like she's out to collect these. I don't know, like the destroyed nations. I mean, whatever of civilizations and stuff. You know, something more about her because we didn't spend.
Like to see
Anytime we
that. An evil Tomb Raider woman. That would
yeah,
be
yeah,
cool.
like that'd be fine fit, right? Like
Yeah.
you can change her whole, change that, maybe not everything, but as somebody that knows from the comics or at least from that universe, like it'd be a nice little like reimagining of this character. Now I like this version is like has more like character build or something that's
She is definitely much more interesting. Somebody who has more initiative than somebody, rather
Right.
than her character that's like, the passive nerd who's beaten down and now has the makeover and take off her glasses and now it's super hot.
Yeah, which is pretty much. I think we went over everything with Wonder Woman. Is there anything else?
Yeah, you forgot the after credits scene. Well, the credit scene. There's
I
nothing
mean,
much.
there's nothing negative or positive that you get from it.
It's pretty much just
It's
a
kinda
quick
whatever.
cameo by Lena Carter.
Yeah, she's the one that donned the armor that they talk about in the movie. So that in the trailers you see the gold armor with the wings, right? So that one was there's like a story behind that where like one of the Amazonians,
One of the Amazonian stays behind.
and sacrifices herself to save the island.
Yeah, the other,
Yeah, so that.
By the way, she just has that armor laying around in her apartment.
Yes,
Just there.
it's just there.
There's
in
no
her
special way in
secret
which she
little
got
like.
it. She just there.
Yeah. It's just her secret little like compartment there. I don't know what is that like. She has like a fake door that leads to a closet of like this machinery that like is what was it? The scanners for like the police officers, like the radio,
Yeah,
that thing.
And
she
she's
has
like, I don't
cameras and
own a
stuff.
TV. I'm like, do you have like fucking like 6 TV screens there? You know?
I think that's more of a joke of the fact that she doesn't watch normal television. She only watches police scanners and like cameras.
I guess so.
Or whatever. I don't know how she got that technology, and she knows how to use it. Whatever. It's just there. Let's further throw the logic out the window. She does. Like, I would have liked a character that was like, like equal to a. You always got to have that guy in the chair, right? On the radio, like feeding you information. We need the was it the Oracle version for Wonder Woman? But she
she's
doesn't.
Gal Gadot. She could literally get any nerd to come up and use him as the simp who's gonna be behind the behind the monitor.
Yeah.
She'd be like, we can go out on a date, right? We can stay as friends, but you can touch my hand. And he'll be more than happy.
Yeah. But
So
yeah,
negative.
I thought that was gonna be a whole connection to like the Hawk people, like Hawk Girl and shit,
Bird
Hawkman.
person.
I forget what they're called, but
From Rick and Morty.
yeah, a bird person. Yes,
Show up.
Birdman.
bird man,
Yeah.
bird person.
Yes, bird
Is
person.
it bird person?
To be, gender neutral.
Yes, please.
Um, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It was the Hawk Girl, right? Hawk Girl and Hawkman.
Yeah.
I forget what race they are called or something. But basically, I thought that was gonna be like another deeper connection to the universe, but it wasn't. It was
Yeah.
just a random background story of an Amazonian sacrificing herself so that we can have a reason why she's wearing that armor.
Right.
I forget there was something else that they were using that for something, but whatever.
The armor?
Not like the one that sacrificed herself. I don't know, whatever. If I could,
It doesn't matter.
it really doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, at some point she finds the armor and she's like, "But I never found her." I'm like, "Did you expect to find her in the armor?"
Yeah.
I'm sure she takes it off at some point.
I mean, that would have been cool to see her on a journey to go get the armor. Like, where did she find it?
Yeah,
What
for
cave
sure.
did she go in? Shoot. Give me that. Anyways.
It's also the other
And
thing.
you know what? It's even possible that maybe, was it Linda Carter's character actually auctioned it off to her and didn't even know, for all you know. They met each other.
Oh, I see what you mean. Got it. Huh. Yeah, maybe, but whatever. I mean, like, what? I mean, it doesn't matter. That's it,
For
right?
her.
That's it for
I
Wonder
wonder,
Woman,
right?
right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean,
Hopefully.
we'll think of some other ways in which it fucked up, but right now we really can't think of any.
Yeah, that's
Other
pretty
than-
much the high points of what made it ridiculous.
Other than one weird, I don't know if maybe it was a different place, but towards the beginning, when young Diana is having that whole American Ninja Warrior in Themyscira with the other Amazonian princesses. I noticed that there was a bit of a continuity error, I think, because there's some banners coming out of like the part where she's supposed to end up at. And at the very end of where she finally arrives and has to throw the spear, there's no banners. I'm like, where there's supposed to be banners there? Like, what happened to those? Whatever. But maybe
You're talking like a visual thing, like the banners that showed how far they were in the race.
Yeah, exactly. And then they are just gone at the very end of that race. Tiny little thing, but like I noticed it and I'm like, that's weird. I
Yeah,
guess they didn't finish render them.
I would have
What
rather
they said,
had
fuck
that than the other errors that they had.
Yeah, the errors in writing for sure.
Well, errors in so many different ways. Yeah. All right.
I mean,
so
the actors
HBO
were
Max.
perfectly fine. Ooh,
HBO
yes.
Max. We talked about a little bit about that, and then Wonder Woman. Talk about that and how it doo doo. Does anybody have anything about like any of those like entertainment IPs that doesn't grow up with the audience, I guess, or like adapt to the audience?
Does it adapt
mean-
well?
Yeah. We were worried about that with Animaniacs, right? Like that was a concern that the humor doesn't match. Like
Right, like the humor would have too much teeth for today's audience, that they would have to soften it.
Mhm.
Let's just go on, maybe not specifically the first two episodes, but nothing beyond the first two episodes, just as a frame of reference.
Okay, all right, that sounds
Like
good.
what I liked about the new Animaniacs is that they knew that they were a reboot, and they knew that they were a reboot enough to say like, hey, so many years have passed, let's talk about it in the form of songs. So they do catch up with technology and current events, and they do try to say like, hey, we're not going to leave these stones unturned, but You got to glance over it just so we're up to speed with modern events. And I like that. Like, it wasn't trying to make the it wasn't trying to make the Warners a fish out of water, where they would just be dealing with all this culture shock. They just had to bring them up to speed, and it's like, okay, we're modern.
Right. I do like that episode. That was a good one. Poking fun of themselves. Brenda, you've seen more of it than I have. What do you think about Animaniacs?
I mean, it still has its like classic, quips and everything. I think I would like to see more of them progress with a lot more of the how it is today.
Like
Because
more
a lot of there's
common, like, you
more
mean like
common,
topical,
yeah.
like something that's like relevant to now, kind of jokes or
Yeah,
something?
because a lot of a lot of the episodes that are sketched out. Of course, it's meant for kids, but a lot of their population is adult because we grew up watching it,
Mm.
But they still, I guess, had to keep it kid friendly. But kids these days grow a bit more faster due to technology that they have all the information right on their phone, and they know stuff that even we didn't know when we were at their age.
Mm.
So it just feels like after like maybe like the first like 2 episodes, it kind of like loses its luster a bit, and it just goes back to being a normal Animaniacs show.
Mm.
And it doesn't keep up, I guess, with I guess all the advances that's happening so far in this year. Remember, this thing was written like 2 years ago in
Right.
2018, so there's a lot of stuff they don't know.
Mm.
But I mean, if it was 2018, they should have referred to some of the context back in that
I do give
time in
them that
2018.
actually, that they literally even made fun of themselves for that too. Like they poked fun
Yeah,
of that. So that I give
and
them
one of the songs,
a
yeah,
lot of like they're a very self-aware show, which is really nice for their comedy. And I think it's really funny when they do like uh they poke fun of the president in a nice way, like good punchlines, and they then like have funnier things that, like, remember in Animaniacs they had the exec, right? Like it was like that old man with the, like, he's bald and stuff. Like,
Yeah, they had Thaddeus Platts.
yeah, and then they have now a woman, and every time, like, my favorite line from her was, it's like, I'm all about it, equal opportunity to climb up the top, but I like it when I climb up the top and I pull the ladder up.
So
I love that
yeah,
because
the
it's
new
just,
executive actually has a name, and it hasn't been name dropped on the show,
Mm.
but it's actually pretty clever. Her name is Rita Norita. Like, it's Nora Rita Norita. That's her entire name. And
okay.
like yeah, it's like Nora Rita. No, Rita. It's like, oh, okay, it's kind of clever. All right. But yeah, she isn't a bad replacement for Plots. Like, she's actually kind of funny.
Mm.
I don't like Ralph's design
Oh.
in the current series. It just looks like a completely different character, and I they do acknowledge their old cast, so it's not like they sweep them under the rug. So there is mention of characters. One even makes an appearance in episode 13. I won't say who it is, but it's not like they swept their history under the rug.
I mean,
they
we
have
could
their
still talk about those things, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
at this
we can
point,
still talk about them.
yeah.
I can say not a lot has changed, or if there was some change, it's not like they pretend history didn't exist. So there is one episode that does a few callbacks to old characters. So it's not like just because you don't see segments for just because you don't see segments for them doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be mentioned again.
Right, and I think we should be okay with doing spoiler-esque type stuff about it.
Yeah, I mean,
like
people have likely seen it, and
right.
it's not like the spoiler kind of show. It's
Yeah.
it's sketch comedy. Really.
Yeah, it's sketch
So-
comedy. Yeah. What
Yeah.
about what do you think about that episode where they brought back the pigeon? And it's really, to me, it's really funny. I like that one because they brought back that weird pigeon that was like, for some reason everybody was acting as if he was human, but he's just legitimately just a pigeon or something, right? Is that
Oh, right. Talking about the guy who was Chicken Boo in disguise.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a weird episode
I
because Chicken
I
Boo
kind of liked
doesn't
it.
talk.
It was funny in the sense that you
And
brought a character back, in the sense that they were talking about how, like, most of their previous cast is not there or something, or like the original characters, like, they're not making an appearance, and then they make it almost like a murder mystery, like there's some, disgruntled former employee hunting down the rest of the cartoon characters. That was pretty fun. I think I like that one. That was one of my favorites.
and it's funny because fans are debating what was actually the least popular Animaniacs segment to them because
Mm,
it's different for everybody. Some people actually did love the Chicken Boo segments. They were funny because they were absurd.
right.
I wouldn't say Chicken Boo is the most unpopular one, but that is the writer's choice to frame it like that. They
Mm.
can make that story. It's fine. Um, some fans didn't like Katie Kaboom. Some fans didn't like the Good Feathers. Some fans didn't like Rita and Buttons because Buttons always got the short end of the stick. It really depends on what kind of fan that you're going to ask that didn't really like certain segments of Animaniacs. Um, but
Right, and
if
they
they
were
wanted
very
that
aware
data,
of that. Like, in the show,
that's
they make
perfectly
reference.
fine.
Yeah, like they made references that's like not every, like, there wasn't, like, sometimes an audience for those specific skits. It's pretty funny. I like that, like, that they're being it feels like it's almost as if they're so in tune to it that they're also very open in their writing.
They do
Yeah.
allow some original segments. Like, even though they're focused on the Warners and Pinky and the Brain, they have had episodes where they tried new filler segments, which I didn't mind. Like, they have that tiny little alien that was being kept as a child's plaything, and they had like another sketch. I think it was like some gnome who lives in people's mouths, or some dwarf that lives in people's mouths, and he's supposed to be someone who like tells people off and helps people who are too timid to tell people off. And the gnome is voiced
Okay.
by John. Yeah, voiced by Bender, basically.
Oh, okay. Nice. I haven't seen that one. I definitely need to see that one. But how about the one that the bunny episode? How about that one?
The bun control. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and Brenda,
it's-
when we watched it, we didn't actually understand the reference, but Brenda looked it up, I guess, and it kind of it makes sense. Like, it it's more funnier when we understood what they were explaining. So I don't know if you.
Yeah. Like, the guy's name was Pistol. To be honest, it took me a while to process it, and then I looked it up on social media. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, it's the Animaniacs episode dedicated to gun control.
And for those who
It's really
just
funny.
haven't even seen that yet, that's the episode in the promo where they have the anime-esque character designs.
Uh-huh.
Where Wacko looks like
Yeah.
the kid from Fooly Cooly.
Yeah.
and
It's very
everything like
clever. It in the way that it's so subdued of the reference. We just get that this guy is an insane bunny fanatic. And he's trying to get
And-
bunnies,
but-
little baby bunnies, to everybody.
Here's the thing, though. Like, another
It's
thing,
a metaphor for gun control. Oh my god.
they got Australia involved because they had a better way of handling the problem.
Yeah.
They had experience handling the problem. You think like it was going to go one way, but it was really a buyback program. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's very subtle, and I know people didn't care for it. They didn't care for how quote unquote ham-fisted it was. It's like, look, okay, I get it, but it's just, if it take a while to register for me, that just shows how stealthy it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just the draw. Both things can be true.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you can still wrap you can make a goofy episode surrounding something absurd, but underneath it all was a giant metaphor for something else. And then that when you get the reference, then you're like, whoa. You just get a moment of like, dude.
Inception.
Yeah. It's like,
Right.
dude.
Like,
That's
making
good.
it seem like, wait, is the message "stay your pets"? I don't understand.
Yeah, right.
The guy's name is
It's-
Pistol. I get all the Americans need buns.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I miss from like the classic like just classic cartoons, like the American cartoons of like having that like there's an adult theme there that isn't like that's maybe so subdued that you just don't get it right away.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that, and I'm glad that like they got some of that in there. So it's pretty funny. Brenda, do you have like a particularly good episode that you like?
So far not yet because I haven't finished seeing all the episodes.
Well, up until this point, which one's your favorite episode?
I'm trying to remember. I always have a whole bunch of things in my head.
One of mine's would be the bunny one was good, but like only until like yeah, like I was when I was watching it, I was like, I feel like I'm missing something here. Like I feel like there's a bigger reference that I'm not understanding. So yeah, I'm glad that we figured it out. But I think mine's would be the one that kind of threw me off in the beginning. Was it looked like it was a story with like mythology, like some Greek mythology or something like that, and then it ends with the punchline with the Cyclops. So the end is this Cyclops that looks pretty orange, and he talks very similar to the president. And
he
was
talks
really
about
funny.
how great his island is, the best in the world, best in the world.
Yeah.
I think for me it's like one of the sketches that they put in there. I think it was it was actually the second episode. It's the one with the dragon, with Pinky and the Brain.
Oh, the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh,
The one
actually,
that he's like, okay, I need you to pretend to be, he's a fucking actor.
yeah, it's a
dragon.
dragon that has an acting career.
Yeah, and Pinky was it Brain's all about to like get the fucking crown, and he's like, oh, hark, I am whatever. They're like
They're about to
looking at him.
Yeah,
and he
their
does it like
mission
5 times or
is
something
like,
or something.
yeah, it was his mission was like to distract them or something. Like so, basically, the story goes that Brain, Pinky and the Brain, their idea is to take the castle or something like that.
Yeah, overtake basically the whole village, the whole town.
They want to
and
take
become
over the
king.
whole village
In order, but basically they were using the dragon as like, okay, if I slay the dragon, you give me your kingdom.
Right. So then what they do is that they have the dragon convince the dragon to pretend to get killed by them. And he's a out of work actor, the dragon, and he acts like he's going to get killed, but he's such a drama queen that he overacts the death scene. So he dies 3 different ways. Like when you think he's dead, he gets back up and now he's dying a different way. And eventually he literally destroys.
On the 4th time he gets up, he's like, so how did I do? Was it fine?
Yeah.
So I was like, he's like acting.
They're about to get the fucking key to the kingdom, and he gets up. But this is after, by the way, he fucking destroys the castle, I think. So now they don't even have a village or a castle.
Yeah, they have nothing.
And they end up in a dungeon with no roof.
Classic Pinky the Brain. I speaking of Pinky the Brain, my favorite one is the one where Brain has a kid. He makes an AI robot.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have this whole montage about him like playing baseball and getting plutonium and all this stuff.
With Pinky getting basically like jealous and
Drafted. Yeah.
See, here's the thing though. Some of the plots in the new Pinky and the Brain episodes are just too good for the length they're running. They deserve to be like full episode segments at least. Like, I think the one about the internet memes, that could have easily been a half-hour plot because they could have talked about so many memes
Oh
that passed
yeah,
by.
that
They could
one.
have had like a Tay Sunday
That's
reference. They could have had
true.
so much. And I get it. They're just trying to squeeze it into 15 minutes, but it's like, look, even when the original Animaniacs was running, you at least had one full length Pinky and the Brain episode. I think it also involved the dragon, and they tried to get a dragon's toenail for a spell that can grant them any wish, and Brain wanted to use it to rule the world. Instead, the spell goes haywire and it turns into a block of cheese. And that's like an entire 30-minute episode. It's a good episode, but
Yeah.
it's also one of the first times Pinky and the Brain, or one of the most notable times where Pinky and the Brain was the entire segment. And I think that they have the option to do that. Like, I think that there's a lot of mileage they can get out of the Warners commenting on anything or getting involved in anything. So I don't think we're going to be short on Warner's plots or scripts, because whatever they can get their hands on, it doesn't even have to be current. It could just be like, hey, let's do a nod to this one thing from 10 or 5 years ago, and they'll still have a plot. Because Animaniacs was all about classic movie references too, or classic cartoon references. So it wasn't about staying with the times. It's just that modern was on the table if they needed it. And I don't see any reason why it can't be the same with that, where they can have full-length Pinky and the Brain episodes and then still go back to the Warners another episode or so. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, I it could. That'd be perfect because there's definitely a following for Pinky and the Brain. Like, a lot of people like Pinky and the Brain. It's like a standalone almost. There's definitely a audience for just Pinky and the Brain. But I mean, like, I haven't seen more of Animaniacs just yet, but I kind of want. I wish there was more movie references. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like more of that stuff, or like shows, and just like kind of jabbing more at entertainment. I really did like the one where they were making fun of what's it called, reboots and stuff. But yeah, I really wanted more of those, but don't know if there's more. I mean, you could talk more into that if there is, like more of that stuff, or
I
is
think
it?
it's just more situational comedy with Warner's or Pinky and the Brain, but not a lot of movie references directly. Just more like, hey, this is the thing that existed and goes on.
Okay.
So there's definitely room for that.
Nice. Are we? Do you think that did they already? Are they gonna like come out with more after this, or like have you heard anything?
So last I heard, they were renewed for 2 more seasons.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard to say what's going to happen with it, because I've been hearing something about how Hulu's going to be absorbed into Disney Plus apparently. So that might compromise
That's
the
interesting.
contract that they have with Hulu. Warner still is involved with the series. It's just that it may end up going to a Warner-based streaming service, or they might renegotiate the
That makes
contract.
sense.
I mean, when Hulu was a separate entity, that's when it got picked up, greenlit, but it also got its 2 new seasons because of Hulu. So maybe they're just going to work with that technicality up until it expires. Who's to say?
Right.
But I do know that it has been picked up for 2 more seasons.
Okay.
That's cool.
And on the other foot, there's also HBO Max, which has picked up a new Tiny Toons series. It's going to have some of the original staff and some fresh blood, but I think they picked up on that because Animaniacs got greenlit. So I'm not sure if it's going to have the same level of humor. I'm hoping it does, though, because there's some things that the new Animaniacs does that they could not do on Kids WB and they could not do on Fox. And I want to see some of those things carry to the new Tiny Toons.
I see. That's interesting. I didn't hear about Tiny Toons at all. That's pretty cool.
It was a recent announcement.
Okay. All right. Anything else? The updates on that? On the Animaniacs front or Warner's specific animations?
Well, I don't know what animation I can think of in general, but I mean, well, I noticed we've been running for about 2 hours. I mean, we did say something about media that wouldn't adapt, but I think we could cool our heels on that for next topic
Yeah,
because
probably.
I think
Yeah.
we got a lot out today.
Yeah, we definitely did went over a lot of different things. We'll probably do like a Tenet spoiler cast about that on a separate podcast as well. Maybe there's a lot to talk about with that too.
There's a lot to try to understand to begin with.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
have to
I need to
Mhm.
rewatch it.
actually.
I seriously need to rewatch it. Brenda already like watched it twice.
Or kind
or-
of halfway twice.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I need to watch it one more time. But
You know what you should do? You should watch it on rewind. See if it's exactly the same, back and forth.
I can, that'd be a really awesome special feature. That would be so
Right.
cool. Man.
I
But,
really do want to watch the movie again for sure.
Yeah, well, that was definitely. I would say definitely one of our best like streaming purchases, I guess you say.
I know. I really
So
wish I
far.
could see it in the movie theaters. So whenever our
Whenever that's
dystopian-
possible.
Yeah.
We did actually. You weren't here for it. The topic when we did talk about HBO Max is about basically our kind of like take on what
On
we
the HBO.
just
Um,
movies, theaters in general, like how they are adapting and how they're not adapting. Like that whole thing. And so yeah, we previously talked about that in this podcast. That's why it's been running for such a long time.
Yeah,
There's a
no,
lot
for
of
sure.
things that we were going over, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll cut off here. If there's nothing more to add, then yeah, we'll move on. Thanks for listening. If you are still listening.
Hey, I'm the self-deprecating one. Remember?
Got it. Yeah. All right. Leave
But
it
thanks
to
for
you.
everybody for listening. We suck. That's all I got.
All right, y'all. We'll see
Peace
y'all
out.
next time.